We think we are really getting more and more civilized, but human exploitation is not a sign of civility. We may progress in many areas of technology, and AI may become the future of this world, but AI, we need to be prepared on how we're going to deal with new kinds of jobs that are about to come and the kind of jobs we're going to lose. Would that all lead to more slavery? Let's talk about it. Let's start discussing these subjects because this is the future of our children. We talk about sustainable economic development. Sustainable economic development is not just economic development. It's not just setting up a new power plant or new industry. It is doing all of the above with sustainability in mind in order to make sure that we minimize our carbon impact, carbon footprint on the earth because of global warming. We keep talking about 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree rise, but we don't really understand the consequences of this 2 degree rise. That increases the temperature of the water levels go up, but then the humidity goes up, and that causes lethal humidity. More people are in danger of their lives because of this than any other war that could be anticipated. So this is the time for us to take all these matters very seriously and continue to have deeper discussions and debates on these subjects and keep trying to keep our direction towards achieving Goal 8. We are supposed to achieve Goal 8 by 2030. 193 countries are signatory to it. I don't see it being achieved at all. So I think the better thing is that instead of pointing fingers, let us get together, discuss, and see how we can contribute. What is the difference we can make today? That's why we are all here. I really am looking forward to the discussions of the day, and I'd like to thank you all again and request Bishop Alistair to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ramsey. It's great to see you all here, and I just want to emphasize what Raz has been pointing to is the fact that modern slavery, as we talk, is increasing in all communities. And it's because we're living in a perfect storm, really. There are more and more vulnerable people who are susceptible to a false promise and getting drawn into being dominated and exploited. The nature of work is changing, and a lot of it is through agencies and part-time work and zero-hour contracts. So work is no longer a way of people finding security necessarily and an identity. And then consumers, you and I, are obsessed with cheap goods and services. We don't care where it comes from as long as the price is right. That's driving a lot of modern slavery. The fourth factor is that there are highly organized criminal gangs who know how to spot vulnerable people, who can set up false agencies and ways of providing the goods and services we want, so we don't notice where it comes from, but people are suffering, brothers and sisters are being hurt and abused. Pope Francis sums all this up by saying we live in an age of the globalization of indifference. Our lives are so focused on this little thing in our hand called a phone, we don't even notice other people, let alone the systems that produce goods and services or the human faces behind them. So it's urgent that some people stand up and start looking, analysing, finding new ways and giving new dignity to brothers and sisters who are being trapped in this modern and evil crime. So that's what we're about today, and this particular focus of the conference, as you know, is about sustainable work, to give people dignity, identity, resources, agency. We've got some great speakers, and in a moment I think Sheikh Nayam will be coming, and there'll be a slight change to the programme. Cameron has very generously agreed to speak after the Sheikh because we started late and we just need to fit it all in around his helicopter, really. So we hope the Sheikh will come and speak, and then we'll ask Cameron to speak after that. Do we have time to show a short video before Sheikh Nayan is going to arrive? We can do that? We're going to show you a short video made by Kevin Highland, who's one of our members who sadly can't be with us today, just to remind us about GSN, where we've come from and what we're about.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Sarah Minns, and I head up operations. And while we wait for the Sheikh to arrive, I just thought I'd welcome you all here. Thank you for coming today. We are a British registered charity, but as you know, and as you can see, we have an international reach. Most of you here know who we are and what we do. We were founded in 2015 after the joint declaration by faith leaders against human trafficking and modern slavery. And it's been led so brilliantly by Raza and Bishop Alistair over the years. We are a very strong network of people, and we have membership. So if you're moved today at any point to become a more formal member, then please come and find me. It's really difficult for us to keep going without help and support in a more formal way. I'll just talk to you a bit about what we've got coming up over the next year. This year will be the anniversary of the 10 years since they signed that joint declaration of the faith leaders, saying no more to modern slavery and human trafficking. And so in London, we will have hopefully a really important conference with many faith leaders and world leaders in attendance. And again, you would be all invited to that. And if you want to become a member, let me know. The learning journey that we will be doing this year will be in March to Japan. And again, if you're interested in coming with us to Japan, let me know. It would be great to discuss with you in more detail some of the things that we have on the agenda. It looks like it's going to be quite an interesting trip. And then I think in December we're going to have a more online celebration of that joint declaration. Over the years, we continue to try and create events like this to raise awareness. Again, most of you in this room know what's important to us, you know what's important, you're here. But if you can help us also by helping us to sort of spread our message, I think as a network we have so much potential, and there's so much here that you can each individually pledge to help us to do, and that doesn't have to be financial at all. That is to do with skills, your network. If you can help us to spread the word via social media, help us to shape how we tell the stories, how we send out our message to the world. We really care about creating decent jobs for all, and I know that you can all help us because we're a very tiny team. At the moment, it is just me and obviously the founders. So if anyone has any questions today, I'm here, I'll be around all day. Most of you have my email address. So please be seated while we just wait for the Sheikh and his team, and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Dear friend Rosa, Bishop Alistair Redfern, distinguished speakers, participants, and guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my distinct pleasure to be here with you at this conference of the Global Sustainability Network, a conference that addresses our common interest and concern of equipping and empowering vulnerable communities and individuals. I have to also welcome my dear brother Swamiji, for being here. I'm sure you will listen to his enlightened speech. And as always, pleasure to see you, dear brother. Wish you all the best. He is preparing to open the most significant temple, place of worship in the world. It's built with affection and it is a reflection of the commitment of our leadership and the leader, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed Zayed, that we appreciate everybody's effort, all the community, and make them feel that it's their country, they're welcomed, and they can practice their belief in peace and harmony. There's a small story since Swamiji is here. When His Highness, the President, decided to build the building of this great temple, I suggest everybody it's worth seeing. Should be one of the wonders of the world. It's magnificent. The Swami and his Babs group, they said, we'll build a wall around it because it's in a very prominent place between Abu Dhabi and Dubai, so everybody could reach that temple. But Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed was proud of it and didn't want to. He doesn't mince his word, and he's transparent, and when he does something, he does it with conviction and pride. So he told them, no, don't build a wall around it, elevate it so everybody can see it when they pass by. Yes, sir? Welcome, and of course the temple will be inaugurated by two great leaders, Science the President, Sheikh Mohammed Zayed, and the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, in February. Sorry to sidetrack from the speech. I greatly admire the mission of the GSN and your strong commitment and sense of urgency to achieving the UN Goal 8 of inclusive and sustainable economic growth and full and productive employment for all by the year 2030. As part of achieving that goal, you focus on what many may be the most challenging areas: ending forced labor. You finished? My dear, you finished? Thank you. Ending forced labor, modern day slavery, human trafficking, and child labor, along with providing decent work for all. Your work at the GSN embodies and celebrates human connections and international cooperation in pursuit of your noble goals. These are values that are fundamental to all of us in the UAE, where we take special pride in our commitment to honor our global responsibilities under the wise leadership of our President, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Our country has developed in ways that reflect a global vision and universal values. We are focused on the needs of all our people: healthcare, education, economic development, employment, family services, all receive the devoted attention of our government. With the leadership and guidance of His Highness the President, we recognize that our future prosperity depends on the ability of all individuals to achieve their goals and on our ability to provide them with the opportunity, safety, and freedom to do so. At the same time, we are active in promoting global economic development and well-being. And our country further demonstrates its active role in the welfare of others around the world by contributing resources, supplies, and aid workers to foreign communities in distress. My dear friends, the state of the world today and recent devastating events prove how necessary it is that we work together to achieve the UN sustainability goals. High-profile events, news coverage, and that is understandable, but these dramatic events also can obscure the issues of forced labor, modern-day slavery, human trafficking, child labor, the daily grind of poverty, and the lack of opportunity that millions around the world endure. According to the International Labour Organization, there are approximately 40 million people in modern-day slavery and 152 million in child labor. Roughly 21 million men, women, and children are trafficked globally. The World Bank estimates that 700 million people live in extreme poverty. They subsist on less than 9 dirhams per day. According to the UNICEF, of the almost 2.5 billion children in the world, more than 1 billion live in poverty. UNICEF reports that more than 20,000 children die every day due to poverty and poor living conditions. These are sobering statistics, regardless of the source for the statistics. The message is consistent and, unfortunately, bleak. For these people, their prospects have been and will remain dim unless we all act. The major themes of your work focus on how to act. You have taken your desire to make a difference and focused on practical and effective ways to intervene. Today's speaker topics reflect this particularity, helping vulnerable communities to resist exploitation, applying technology to build resilience, emphasizing the role of faith leaders in these processes, and empowering individuals and communities through sustainable employment are all ambitious, yet achievable goals. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of us whose lives have been blessed with quality education, good health care, meaningful work, and safe and prosperous country to live in, it seems incredible that forced labor, modern-day slavery, human trafficking, and child labor are still challenges faced by much of the world. Thank you for your efforts at adopting these issues and seeking solutions on behalf of those who currently cannot help themselves. I applaud your emphasis on empowerment as the only sustainable solution. I commend your courage in tackling such wicked and daunting challenges. I look forward to the collective power of your intellect to produce ideas and initiatives for achieving Goal 8 and to help turn those ideas into actions that positively impact the lives of individuals and communities. Helping to achieve Goal 8, establishing implementation partnerships with key partners, attracting sponsors, recognizing exemplary leadership through awards, and creating awareness at all levels of society are all important initiatives in meeting our goals and objectives. I thank you all for being a part of this extremely important work, and I wish you every success in helping to marshal our resources to create new opportunities and reveal new horizons to people worldwide so they can shape a brighter future for themselves and bring about a brighter future for us all. Let me close by observing once again that your work at the Global Sustainability Network is entirely aligned with the goals and the values of the United Arab Emirates. The UAE is a country where all residents can exercise their talents, pursue their ambitions, and fulfill their potential in peace and harmony. We are together at this conference today to display our shared commitment to help our global citizens to be successful. Today, we strengthen our commitment to work together for the common cause of peace, development, and global collaboration. Thank you once again for your commitment to helping to improve the human condition. I express my appreciation to all of you and my admiration for your dedication and high ideals. My best wishes for a successful conference. Thank you, and God bless you all. You can now clap. It's finished.
I've made some notes just in case I forget what I'm supposed to say. It's a great honor. This is the first time I have participated in GSN. And I have been given 15 minutes to talk about this very complex, obdurate subject. It reminds me of an interview Woody Allen gave on television one day, where he was claiming that he had studied speed reading, and he could read War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy in 20 minutes. The interlocutor asked him, "And did you understand what was in the book? Did you understand everything?" And his response was, "Yeah, I think it had something to do with Russia." So I've been given 15 minutes. If somehow I can leave you with the notion that slave trade, oppression in the flow of chain of events that happen to supply us with the metals that we use on a daily basis I think I've done my job in 15 minutes. My thesis is that slavery and a slave trade has morphed into oppression. And oppression has many signs of slavery. And that has to do a lot with international law, the norms and customs of the countries where these things happen. And they are not necessarily the third world countries as we know them. It's everywhere. What qualifies me to talk about this is I am the CEO of a company that has been in the business of mining and refining metals for almost 40 years. We operate in 20 different countries, and I'm quite familiar with what goes on in those countries where we get the minerals to bring them to the countries where they can be turned into cell phones, computers, and other things. Imagine this. A lady with a 2-month-old baby wrapped on her back, doubled over a black rock that is an outcrop in her neighborhood. She has been given a small little hammer to break this rock into little pieces, and those little pieces have to be put in gunny bags of 5 kilos each. She does that throughout the heat and the sun of the day in a very hot country, and she packs these gunny bags in a corner. Once in a while, a bunch of soldiers from a neighboring country show up. They pay her a bit of money, that is subsistence, and is not enough for her to survive on. She has to scrounge some other income from some other source. And the income that they give her is not established, it's not constant, it changes. And she cannot complain that this money is not enough, because if she does, they will punish her and punish her 2-month-old baby in public, so others don't dare to say anything of that sort. The rock that she works on is called coltan. Coltan is radioactive. The dust of that radioactive rock is inhaled by her and by her 2-month-old baby. And you can consider what the consequences are. This rock has 2 major elements, tantalum and niobium. If you look at your phone or your computers today and any other electronic device, and if you go all the way to Switzerland to the CERN laboratories, you find that tantalum and niobium are essential elements in all the things that we use. Very sophisticated elements. I have a video to show you, a slide show, but in 15 minutes I cannot show you that. If you want to see this later on, maybe we can do it privately. And if you have any questions, you can ask me afterwards. My contention is that if we modernize more than we have so far, this trade that at least I'm an expert in, I claim to be an expert in, it might eradicate a bit, not all, but a bit of what we see on a daily basis as oppression of the people that work on the front line of supplying us with these materials. United States, one of the most powerful economies of the world, has only 25 refineries. 13 of those refineries deal in very small bits and pieces with gold. Gold is a very valuable commodity, but has very little industrial value in today's operations. Most of the mineral resources that are purchased by the main companies that are based in the United States, Britain, France, and other developed countries, are shipped to areas where there are no regulations for environmental pollution, And the reason for that is because the labor and the cost of producing these elements is much cheaper. So, in Yangtze River, you get fish with 2 heads and 3 tails, which is a good for the fishmonger who can sell them double the price, but it causes cancer. And the people that live around that river develop all sorts of diseases. There are 3 ways of refining metals in today's world. The business I'm in is about $2.8 trillion per annum business. There are 5 major multi-billion-dollar corporations. Their value is about $1 trillion altogether. Their assets is about $1 trillion. They were established around the 19th century and early 20th century. They continue to pollute everything they touch. And I am not saying that, just Google the names and you'll see how many penalties have been imposed on them every year, even today. 2 weeks ago in Indonesia, see what happened. And I don't have to explain this in more details. The 3 ways of refining metals are, one of them uses a lot of acids. You take the ore out of the ground, you wash the stuff in very strong acids, and until the metals precipitate that you want, you put them in a dryer, you dry the sludge, and then you use this. The drying process, the tailing that is left behind, devastates the earth, the water plains and water supplies and rivers and everything else that they come in touch with. On a daily basis, each government imposes penalties on these people that do this, but the penalties are less than 1% of their annual income. They gladly calculate that into their cost of operation. The second method is when you get the metal, you use a lot of heat to melt it. And different metals at different temperatures have different melting point. This creates a lot of smoke, a lot of dangerous materials in that smoke. And the Indonesian one that I referred to exploded 2 weeks ago and killed about 200 people. This happens on a daily basis. Nothing new. The third method that my company, CVMR, uses, CVMR stands for Chemical Vapor Metal Refining, is a bit less dangerous to the environment. It uses certain chemicals that are constantly recycled and chemically vaporizes the metals that are taken out of the earth. It's called vapor metallurgy. The chemistry is 135 years old. We did not invent it, although we have 150 different patents internationally for this. Why has it not been used? Because the other 2 methods that I mentioned are cheaper, and they are done in countries where environmental regulations are lax. What we try to do in our way of trying to promote this is I go around talking about this technology. We are not hoarding it. It's my mission in life for the last 40 years to promote this technology and let others adopt it. We are not selling it. We have put our patents on our website. Anybody can imitate it, use it. And I hope that this can become a substitute for what has been going on. As part of the things that we do, we also recently, as recent as 4 years ago, won 2 prizes from the Ontario government in Canada among 1,600 companies worldwide, where we can convert CO2, methane, and coal to graphene and graphite and 33 different carbon-based products. So when you have a footprint of CO2 coming out of your plants, which is a liability these days in Europe and in North America, we can turn that into a profit by turning it into graphene and graphite and use it as a source of income instead of having a liability. The graphite is also used these days for capturing the heat from the sun and turning it into electricity. The difference between that and the solar panel is solar panels become dirty, dust covers them, their efficiency drops, and they're fragile. Graphite sponge is very hard. You can walk on it, you can snow on it, you can cover it with a blanket. All it needs, it's a black substance, all it needs is heat. And if you've studied Physics 101 at high school, heat can be converted to kinetic energy and can be converted easily to electricity. These can be put on a couple of wheels and you can drag it behind your car or have a mobile unit or carpet the roof of your house or your hospital or your factories with these graphites. It also has another value that would be of interest to countries like UAE in that the graphite flakes, if spotted with technetium, can act as purifying for water, desalination of water. And it has no residue besides whatever is captured between these things, and you can wash them once in a while. It doesn't rust, it doesn't produce anything noxious, and it's quite usable and cheap. Also, it has medical uses because carbon is something that our bodies are used to, and is bulk of our cells are made of it. So you can use this in medical instruments, in inserts, into things that would not be rejected by our bodies. This is what I do for a living, and I'm grateful for being here. If you have any questions, if you want to see the slides that I have, let me know. I'll be happy to provide you with it.
Sorry?
Yeah, it's going to take much more than 15 minutes. Maybe afterwards.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. That was really helpful, and we will have to negotiate about the slides and look at the programme, but I sense the desire to see them. And what I just want to thank you for, Cameron, is you've given us a snapshot of how the world really works through a major industry. And of course, behind it, we do need to think about the woman with the baby, the people eating the fish and becoming cancerous. These are the offshoots that vulnerable people are more likely to suffer from, that kind of oppression and that kind of poor health. And that's the kind of human economy from which trafficking and slavery thrives, really, because people are desperate and needy and vulnerable because of that. So that was a brilliant snapshot, really, of the real world at a high level and the human costs. And we're in the business of looking at, you said about the problem of legal frameworks and guidelines, business practice, all those kind of things are very much on the agenda of what GSN is about. I can't see Sarah in the room, is that right? I'm just looking at the time and the programme. I think we'll go into our next session and then we will have a break if you can last that long. So I'm going to ask Swamiji to come up and join me, please.
I need to confess to each one of you for opening my own eyes. And let me be really frank, that I have been a little aware of human trafficking, slave labor, forced labor, but I never knew the severity or the gravity of the problem. So I thank each one of you who are present here. You're not wasting your time and you're not twiddling your thumbs. It's not about millions of people, it's about the people who have passion. So I feel really privileged to be amongst you and for also opening my eyes. And why do I say that? And I think this might be the problem for the rest of the world. I practice faith and I lead people. But if I myself wasn't aware of the gravity of the situation, it's just a little bit here and there, you hear an incident or a stray thing. But when you really think about it over the night, it becomes grave. And what do I mean by that? Let's see, everybody's talking about eradicating, let's say, malaria. And the world takes pride that at a time we've eradicated malaria. But I thought about it yesterday night, and that's what I want to share with each one of you. The easiest way to keep away from malaria is to put on mosquito repellent. Correct? But is that the cure? Then I started thinking that maybe a safer way would be to have mosquito nets around your house so mosquitoes don't enter. But is that the cure? Then I thought a little deeper and I thought maybe when they are spraying DDT on the places where mosquitoes breed, so is that the cure? The deeper I thought, I came to a small conclusion that mosquitoes breed in swamps, places of dirt, or places which are filthy. Maybe keeping our planet clean, maybe driving cleanliness may be the root cure of malaria. It's not the drugs, it's not the repellents, it's not the industry of mosquito nets, but finding a deeper cure to our issues. So as we talk about slave labor, forced labor, trafficking, and one of the conclusions that I have come to, and I hope I'm not trying to ruffle feathers here, but I think sometimes the world is in a coma. And sometimes you need to create the right awareness. The first idea I would say that religious or faith-based leaders have to do is to create calibrated awareness. If you create a huge, humongous awareness, when people feel they can't do anything about it, people will just watch. You know, let me really come back to the issue. For decades we were thinking that our eyes are burning, water is not clean. For decades we felt that pollution or waste is really taking over. But when a collective consciousness came that the climate is changing, the whole world geared up. Whether it's governments, leaders, individuals, I wanted to just make a statement today that the festival that we are going to celebrate for the opening of this temple, we are not using any plastic at all. And that means I felt connected to this climate change issue. And I said, let's go biodegradable. Let's make the foundations green. The temple has been made out of complete natural materials, no steel at all. And it is absolute natural, and all the crates that brought in the stones, 30,000 pieces of stones were brought in, throw away wooden crates. Our volunteers repurposed that wood, and we are creating all the furniture from thrown away wooden crates. Why do I say that? Because when I realized that the issue of climate change and pollution is grave, I started thinking personally and moved into that direction. So now coming back to human trafficking, we hear sporadic incidents, and I'm truthful, you know, and I'm not an expert as all of you are, because all of you are experts, you've been doing work. I'm a complete, humble, inexperienced person so far as this is concerned. But it's jogged me, and it's started making me think. And that's what I'm trying to emphasize, that real change begins when you wake out of a coma. And what's happening in this world, please don't read me wrong, and for being too frank about it, when I was a young kid, before I became a monk, there was an incident that I read, that once there was a clock shop. And the man who owned the clock shop was so proud about each one of his clocks. And remember, a man who has two watches is never sure of the time because they're not always in sync. So the biggest challenge for the clockmaker or the clock shop was to keep all his clocks exactly on the same time. Because one would be a little 5 minutes early, one behind. So every day he would just set all the clock hands again in perfection. He was proud about it. Then he started seeing that one man at a certain time would come outside the shop and adjust his watch according to his clocks. He would look into the window and then make an adjustment. So he saw him again and again for a couple of months, and he was so proud about his clock shop that people are adjusting and fine-tuning their time according to his clock shop. So he went out and he got hold of that man and said, "Hey, excuse me sir, I see you every day at a certain time and you are adjusting your watch according to my clocks. So I'm proud about it, but you must be somebody important who really values time." And that man said, "Of course I am." He said, "I am the chief security officer of the factory across the road." "You see that huge factory across the road?" He said, "Yes." He said, "I'm the chief security officer and I have to blow every day the 5 o'clock whistle." And this guy goes, "Hey, wait a minute. I always adjust my clocks according to that 5 o'clock whistle." So what's happening with this world? We are all fine-tuning to each other, not knowing the gravity of problems. The leaders speak what the people want to listen. The people do what makes them comfortable. The media reports what really sells. And even NGOs who begin with great intentions become prey to bigger hands, and then they do something that is not really the core belief. So while we continue to adjust our watches and our clocks to each other, we forget the issue. So I wanted to really emphasize that human trafficking or slave labor or forced labor, we need to seriously ask serious questions. Bishop, I wanted to just say one thing before you ask something else. What do I mean by asking questions? In this conference, if each one of us is here to seek solutions, you're not going to get any. But if you sit down at your table, on your chairs, and at night, if you ask the right questions, you will arrive somewhere. As Einstein often said, Einstein said, "If I had a problem and my life depended upon it, and I had just 1 hour to solve that problem, I would spend 55 minutes asking the right questions. The solution will come in the last 5. So I leave you with 5 questions, and you said I wanted to jog your mind. Ask yourself, I don't have the answer, but I know I will sooner because I've asked. My first question is to all the thinkers who are present here, that at no point in history have we talked about peace, or have we talked about peace conferences? Have we had peace campaigns, or has there been more awareness for peace or need for peace? Then why the largest earning industry of this world still is armaments? I don't want to know the answer, but we should ask that question. At no point in history have we had more forms of entertainment, whether it's movies, personal entertainment, resorts, theme parks, places that keep us happy. But why, I have asked and I've done my research, why the surest selling medicine in this world, the largest selling medicine in this world are antidepressants? I think we need to ask that, and I'm coming back to our question. At no point in history have we had the ability to be more connected, whether it's phones, mobile phones, internet, WhatsApp, Telegram, chats, all forms of connections, we feel connected. But why, if you don't see a blue tick, you feel so lonely? And that's why I want to ask you, at no point in the human history have we valued equality, dignity, and liberty. Then why this issue of human trafficking exists? Because it reduces human beings to products. Think about it. We sell things in our zeal to make bigger factories, greater earnings, fattening our bank accounts. We have now turned human beings into products, and the two issues that are driving this is both our greed, because of money, making easier money with less cost, and the second is the need of the vulnerable. The vulnerables, sometimes if you do research, not everybody is always forced. And I think we need to think about that. Not everybody is forced. They go because they get better opportunities. So I believe that if we ask the right questions today, and I'm willing, you can ask me, but I'm willing to think about the right questions, then I believe we will come to better conclusions from faith-based people and even trade-based people and also economy-based people. But we cannot just remain in coma, and that's most important.
Thank you very much indeed. Sarah must keep an eye on me in terms of timing. Can we ask one more reflection?
We're already at it.
Yeah, one, because this is really important wisdom. And what I'd just like you to comment on briefly in a way is that you raised with your lovely picture of the watch, the clockmaker, and your questions, the fact we need questions, especially these things about we're making so much progress, and yet we're not making any progress at all. Now, you're going to open a temple. As a faith leader, you will invite people to come to worship and to learn about a faith. What do you see the role of faith leaders through worship and teaching to help people begin to access this wisdom that you're sharing with us? Because one of the issues for many of us, as I was saying earlier, we all live in a very small world of our own phone, our own life, our own anxiety. But if all God's children are precious, how can we open people's eyes to a bigger vision, confidence, to pursue the agenda you're sharing with us?
So I think, from our past experience, we've understood that when we were facing Corona crisis, it was all pure science. It was to do with health. But the world leaders understood that when it came down to vaccination, the whole world turned to faith leaders and asked them that if you get vaccinated, your followers will. People didn't believe in vaccination. So one of the roles of faith leaders, which I believe is again, three things if I wanted to conclude. One would be that calibrated awareness, not making it too vast. If there are wars going on in this world and none of us feel we can actually influence the outcome, we just sit on the sidelines and listen. If there's a huge storm outside, we'll just tolerate and sit quietly. But if there's a fan that is buzzing, each one of us will get up and turn it off. So we need to make this whole issue not so big that people feel it's unreachable. We need to make this issue that you can make a difference by helping young people have more confidence. So that's what faith leaders should do. The second thing with faith leaders can do in their programs, like we run almost 4,000 children's centers. I have thought that if we train our children with conscious confidence, that you are self-worthy, you cannot sell yourself, you need to be conscious, and teach the parents as well, not just about religion. Stop talking about heaven hereafter. Create a little bit of heaven on earth. I don't think God has given us this experiment of creating a little bit of heaven here. So the second thing is generating conscious confidence in the new generation, because they are the ones who will stand up to this issue. And the last, I encountered two issues. Once, I believe the situation is sometimes caused by man-made catastrophes like war, where people are homeless, hopeless, and refugees, so they sell themselves or fall into the traps. The second is also natural catastrophes. One incident I would like to say, then conclude, please forgive the time slot. We were in Ukraine. Our Prime Minister phoned me that, Brahmavihari Swami, can you set up a camp in Ukraine for the refugees who are coming out? Primarily, there were Indian students who were coming out, but everybody who came out, we attended. Now listen to this carefully, because this really touched my heart. Our volunteers worked there in -7 freezing conditions as refugees kept coming out. One little boy, he was Ukrainian, and he came out with other groups of people. And after 7 or 10 days of walking, he started making a sign of a toothbrush to our volunteers that he wanted a toothbrush. Everybody else wanted everything. This little boy wanted a toothbrush. Our spiritual leader, Pramukh Swami, had always encouraged that when you go out and help as religious people, take all the needs that people need. Sometimes it's the simplest things. So our volunteers had taken toothbrushes. And when they gave that little boy a toothbrush, he hugged them. The volunteers called me and said, Swami, there's this little boy, he's amazing, he's so happy. So I tried to encourage that boy. I couldn't speak his language. So there was another Ukrainian person who said that his parents, now listen, the parents had sent this boy with neighbors because both mother and father were as soldiers fighting the war. That little boy came with the neighbors. He's about 6, 7. I encouraged them to lift his spirit up by asking him, then what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, when you ask a child, what does he want to be or she wants to be when they grow up, they'll say all sorts of things. They'll come into their own, element. To my shock and surprise, the boy did not say that I want to be an astronaut or a doctor or an engineer or a farmer or a footballer. You know what the boy said? He said, I just want to be kind when I grow up. I think we are teaching our children to be everything except be kind. He said because he had seen so much horror in those 10 days that he decided that being kind was perhaps the greatest achievement for a boy. And to my deepest surprise, after about 8 months, because they had migrated to Austria, after 8 months, the little boy brought his parents to Dubai to see me at our small temple to come and thank me. Imagine, I believe that wars, poverty, and also natural catastrophes are places where religious leaders should genuinely go, not to convert, no way, not to preach, no way, but to go out and help the homeless, the hopeless, so we can save people being trapped into this trade.
Thank you very much indeed, my friend.
Thank you again, once again, for opening my eyes and consider me a part of your larger goal. Thank you, all of you. May God bless you.
GSN is Scott Cunningham, who is an amazing entrepreneur and very savvy with the whole world of tech and future orientations, really, for looking at some of the big issues. And Scott has assembled some real expertise for us to look at vulnerability, job creation, support of people in these ways through the lens of tech and modern approaches to industry. So Scott, if you'd like to come and introduce your panel, and we'll let you help it unfold. Thank you.
All right. Actually, take that one with you. We'll use that one later. All right. Actually, let's just have everyone come up to the stage. Can you guys hear me or no? Sound's not on.
I'll come and get it off you. Leave.
All right, that's fine. Perfect. So we do have a good panel. I'm glad most of you came back in for it because we're actually going to start with a dance. I'm kidding. But we're going to have fun. We're going to have fun, hopefully, as well. So I'm going to sit down. Hold on, I have to take this. I was instructed. Just a second. All right. Okay, now we're ready. Almost. Perfect. So I'm so excited to be here. We're going to talk about, like Bishop Alster mentioned, really inclusion, but through the lens of digital, of technology. How can technology help accelerate change that the world needs to see? And I'm really pleased to be joined by three incredible people, incredible friends, and I'm going to let each of them just give a brief introduction on themselves. And also I will say at the end, I'm planning to leave a few minutes to do some Q&A with you. So if there's something we don't cover, please think of a question and we'll answer it. No questions off limits, mostly. All right, Sarah. Sarah Sabri, pleased to have you joining us.
Thank you, Scott.
Go.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Sarah. I'm Egyptian Lebanese. I am the CEO and founder of a company called Deep Space Initiative. It's a nonprofit that we'll be talking a little bit about because it's very relevant to giving opportunity to remote areas in the world. And I'm currently a PhD student in aerospace, work a little bit in sustainability, in activism, and I'm the first Egyptian and first Arab woman and African woman to go to space.
I mean, that's pretty cool. Thank you, Sarah. We're really excited to speak a little bit more about that. I mean, space, people probably don't necessarily automatically see the tie-in of space and, you know, solving the world's problems or anti-human trafficking. So we're really excited to dive a little bit deeper there. Jack Lowe, I'm excited to have you joining us. Please share a little bit about yourself and your background, specifically as it relates to what we're talking about today.
Well, can I say that I'm very happy to be sitting next to two of the most beautiful girls here. And at my age, I could say no more. I just think it's very nice to also see all the things you're doing at your age. I'm 82 years old. I'm still at it. And the reason I'm still at it is that I was a sort of an elite athlete in my younger days and did lots of competitions, and I just fell in love with sport. And sport kind of became one of the key things in my life, even when I started building businesses. And I started 8 companies, ended up being in 9 different countries with these companies. So I was a sort of an international entrepreneur. And what launched me into this was that I was selected as an exchange student to go from the US to Turkey. And I was able to perfect more or less my Turkish, which I never thought I could do because, you know, I had never tried languages. But that opened my eyes, and since then I've learned a lot of them to be able to operate in all these different places. This was a life of sport and a life of business, And at the point in time when I decided that after a bicycle accident, it was very serious, I should probably get everything together. Maybe I wouldn't last much longer if I kept doing these things. I kept doing sport, but in a more reasonable way. And I decided to do what a lot of people don't do, organize my succession, and also then be able to organize the rest of my life. And I decided to take part of what I had earned as a living and put it into a foundation that is called Fit for Life. And the idea of Fit for Life is to encourage people to take possession of their own lives and their own health and do the things that will allow them to live longer and live better without using enormous amounts of pharmaceutical products or being in hospitals or rest homes or so on. Live as long as you can and have as good a life as you can have. And that's really quite easy to do if people will accept our Fit for Life programs.
Well, I think, Jack, you're clearly more fit than, I mean, at least me. I won't speak for the other panelists up here. But really excited to have you with us, and we'll dive a little deeper into your background as part of our conversation around your microfinance ventures and how that has assisted the Global South and women and underrepresented groups as well. Lastly, we have Daria Rosteva joining us. Daria, please share just a little bit about yourself and your background.
Yeah, my name is Daria. I'm working within startup ecosystem more than 6 years now, and my particular interest is business development and partnerships, and I have like 2 directions right now. It's creative tech, so basically I'm helping artists and helping to make culture more digitalized and more accessible for the people around the world. That's the first one. And the second one is supporting female founders which are creating their own impact-driven startups around the globe. So I'm working with an accelerator which is called Thousand Faces, and we have startups across the globe, so Nigeria, Kenya, the UK, all around the world, and all of them are supporting sustainability development goals and creating their projects based on them.
Thank you so much, Daria. So Jack, let's talk a little bit about you bought a company called Blue Orchard, which was, as far as I'm aware, the first really microfinance company anywhere, but you helped grow it into the world's largest private microfinance organization. I'd love to hear a little bit about that story in still a condensed way, of course, because we have limited time. But really, what inspired you to get involved with that venture, and what did the impact of it become? How did it really help increase the inclusion in some of these areas that didn't typically have it?
Yeah, well, the genesis of this was that the company, it was a good idea, started by some young men, well-educated, but without management experience, and especially investment management experience, and it went into liquidation. So I bought it out of liquidation. I took all of the other shareholders and made a new shareholder group, and what attracted me was the fact that I had never done anything really charitable. I just worked on my businesses and my sports.
Yeah.
So what the company needed was management and somebody who could go around and raise the money to get everything going. And that's the role that I took. And it took about 18 months to get their things rolling again. And then what really helped us was we got the World Bank to come around with us to the countries where most microfinance was being done by NGOs. And these NGOs didn't have banking licenses. And all these countries were afraid that if the NGOs had a banking license, they would take business away from the government-owned banks. And so what we decided was we didn't have the leverage and muscle to get that done, so we got the World Bank to do a tour. We did it with them, went around to 10 different countries, and started the moves to get banking licenses. And virtually all of the big NGOs now have banking licenses and are real banks.
It's really unique.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's got to really help with the inefficiencies that were typically in this space, right?
There were plenty of inefficiencies. I mean, the loan officers, many times I was on the back of a motorcycle, we were going out to loan money to the groups of ladies who were making dresses or whatever else, and then getting back on the motorcycle with the money and the backpack, and he wrote down everybody's name and how much there was, and he did all of his accounting by hand. So there was obviously problems there. So we attacked the whole problem of numerization, so that it was too early to many places you didn't have portable phones, you didn't have automatic accounting systems that you could keep up to date from the field and so on. So we were able to buy devices, portable devices, get people to use them, teach them how to use them, and get some efficiency in the accounting area, and we started calculating impact.
Amazing. So, and real quickly, like looking back on this microfinance venture, like what was the impact? How many people were you able to provide loans to, and how successful were they?
In the early days, our objective was 1 million people. It was the year of microfinance that we started, and Kofi Annan had set up the year of microfinance, and he had calculated that there were 2 million people under the poverty line. So, 2 billion people, and so our million was just a drop in the bucket. So once we got the banking licenses, and once people understood how we made it sustainable, and we used the profits that we made to extend the activity of the company, which we did over 5 years, and we went to 45 countries in 5 years. So the whole idea was to expand, but use the money that was made on the profitability side for expansion, and for finding new ways, high-tech ways of doing things. So the impact was 1 million, and all of a sudden we started growing at 50% a year, and the sky was the limit, and I tried to push things as fast as possible. That's kind of been my
a million is a lot of people, and as they're building their businesses, that's touching millions more people as well.
Yeah. No. In the end, we had 25 million.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. 25 million. That's
and the reason for that was that we organized with these new banks to make loans to people who were not yet entrepreneurs, but who were selling things in the market and so on, needed to have working capital. And so with the working capital, if we gave them $100, then they could sell $200 worth of products. So the margin was 50%. So anybody, even fairly uneducated, would undertake this kind of, buy the merchandise, go to the market, and sell it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jack. No, I mean, 25 million people, and that's not even counting the impact of them selling the products and how those products are impacting people's lives. The innovation of sort of blazing that trail is incredible. I've watched the space industry over the last decade become privatized and also very, very flush with innovation. I think space is the future. So Sarah, obviously this next question is going to you. Talk to us a little bit about your experiences in space, and how has the overview effect, which the overview effect is an effect that many astronauts have as they're viewing the Earth from this really unique perspective that most people never get to experience it from. But talk to us a little bit about, how did that change your view on the world, on the communities you're a part of, and how can you use what that has taught you to help build more inclusive communities and systems?
Yeah, you described the overview effect pretty well as well. So it's a really difficult thing to explain. When I came back from space, it took me a really long time to be able to put it into words, because it kind of breaks your reality. And the first thing that I would say whenever someone would ask me, so how was it? I would be like, all I could feel was my reality was a little bit broken. And it was difficult to explain, and as an engineer, I had to put it down into bullet points on paper. favor, and really try to process it in that way, how I treat every other thing. And just to also give an example, at one point, I think it was 2 weeks after my trip, and I don't know if I told you the story actually before, but I was on a train in Colorado, just a random trip, nothing special, just nothing special in the views or anything. It was inside the city also, so not outside the city. But I was looking out the window and I was listening to music. And then something clicked in my brain. And I was like, wait, 1 second. I took out my headphones, I put everything down. I took out my phone and I had to write stuff down on my notes in my phone. And the thing that clicked in my mind was that Earth is its own independent being. And I think it's because when you see it from the outside, you see it as a whole. You see how small it really is, how there's no lines there's no borders on the map, and there's like just a very simple line protecting it, and it's just its own breathing, living being. And for me, what I had imagined at that one moment on that train was that if you hold Earth in your hand and if you shake it, it felt as though like if you shake it, like everything would fall except the trees. And the houses would fall, like everything else would fall except the trees and the oceans. And those are the things that keep it alive. And it felt like it has everything it needs and everything else is extra. And I think we need to be treating Earth as in exactly that way, that it has everything it needs. So we need to be treating it as we are just additions to it. We shouldn't be treating it as the way we have been for the past hundreds of years. We haven't been on this. Yeah, I think it's good.
We're just gonna do that for now. This is great. Technical difficulties always are a part of life. Just put it like we need tinfoil around it, right? So I guess the question now with all these weird sounds is, are aliens real? All right, we had some great music at Yogi's last night, and some of these sounds were a little similar as well, but I'm mostly excited now to be sharing this mic with Sarah. I'm gonna try to not speak too loud. There we go. Okay. I feel a little calmer now. All right. Did you have anything else to add? Okay. Well, this sounds like a great opportunity to try to move to a different mic. Sarah, I love your thoughts on the overview effect and how that really changed your perspective. Space is a transformative technology and it affects all of us, whether we realize it or not. Sometimes the technology that we use doesn't work, but it's still transformative. And there's other technologies that I think can be really transformative as well. And one of those is blockchain. There's a lot of confusion about what blockchain is. People think of cryptocurrency and NFTs and all those types of things. But at its core, blockchain is about trust and decentralization, giving people power. And by doing that, you're able to create opportunities and remove some of the barriers and disparities that exist in this world. So, Darna, we'd love to hear from you. Hopefully, your mic is better than mine. Talk to us a little bit about how you see Web3 and blockchain being a connecting force in terms of building communities and doing it in a way that's more equitable and accessible.
I think that from my perspective, one of the best things about the blockchain is DAOs, so decentralized organized organizations. And DAOs is something that's telling us about the importance of community building, actually. And I think that blockchain is much more than NFTs you heard about, everyone has heard about, like NFTs, but it doesn't work? Or it works?
I think we can hear you.
Okay. Good.
It just doesn't sound as crazy as it did a second ago,
Great.
so, but it's good.
So I really believe in the power of community, and blockchain with its DAOs, smart contracts, shows us the importance of community decision-making process, how people can be involved in these decisions. And for example, Seldon Faces, we're a community-driven platform for investing the startups, which are creating their impact together with the mission of United Nations. And I think we let people invest in the future, invest in the planet, show that they have their own vote in the community, and it's really great. And I think that this is really important to understand in terms of blockchain. And as well, blockchain provides us a lot of opportunity with digital identity, and it's really great because people have access to making their documents, to be in the community, to all together, to have this way much easier, as well as financial inclusion. We've already talked about it here, that it's really important for the people to have these possibilities in the new place, in the new community, and with like digital identity, it really can help us to, for example, let these people participate in a banking system or in a blockchain system like currencies and all of these things. So I guess that we really need to understand that we need to take this model, like for example, like DAOs. So DAOs, it's actually it's a structure where everyone can decide and everyone has a vote to make the decision. And I think it's something that we need in our real life as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Daria. So let's now tie this a little bit back directly to why we're all here. Focused on SDG 8, economic inclusion, 8.7, which is anti-human trafficking, ending child labor, and those types of things. Sarah, I want you to talk a little bit about space and space technology. I mean, how does that directly relate to, peace building efforts, to human rights efforts, to some of the things we're here discussing today?
I think space is, sometimes we use it in our language that space is something that is extra. Like we always think about, why are we even thinking about space when we should be solving the problems here on Earth? But we should be thinking about it differently, where we can utilize the technology that's coming from space directly to solving problems on Earth. And I'm sure every single one of you here has used space technology pretty much every single day. The GPS that you're using, weather monitoring, so many things, and especially when we're talking about human trafficking and problems that we're seeing here on Earth that have been created by those borders. That is also something that I wanted to mention before my mic turned into an alien. But it is really important to think about that we can utilize these technologies to monitor what's going on in the world. So using satellite imagery to see where the problems are, maybe tracking different things. I was in the Maldives working with an organization a few months ago, and they're trying to see how to track, like they don't even know how many islands they have in the Maldives, which is shocking. The Ministry of Environment has been trying to see how we can utilize space technology to count the number of islands, how they're disappearing, the effect of climate change on the Maldives, which we all know has been very, very much affected by it. But not only that, we haven't been able to track manta rays. So how do we track them using space technology as well, which directly helps the environment? How do we understand what's going on in the world where journalism, let's say, hasn't been allowed to enter, or where there's conflict in the world we haven't been able to see? If we are able to use satellite imagery to really understand what's going on the ground, and we would have no biases, we would have no different opinions, we won't have, things would be just the truth as it is. And we're seeing this now, we're seeing this all over the world. We've been seeing how the whole world has been in conflict, and it's been going on again and again. And I really liked what the former panel was talking about international law, how if we are able to apply international law, that's a little bit outside of space, to be honest, but I'm going to go a bit on a tangent here, but I think it's important to mention that with international law, if we are able to enforce it, then we'll be able to enforce, prosecution against human trafficking, against genocide, against all of the problems that we have in the world. So again, we need to always look back, and for me, how I got more involved in international law is through space law. So whenever we're looking at space, from my journey and from what I've seen for people all over, around me, is that we're always looking at space, we're always looking towards the future of humanity, but we're always taking a step back and looking how we can help Earth. So in terms of sustainability and climate, in terms of humanity, in terms of solving the problems, because when you see Earth in space, you realize all of this, and you give that a lot more importance, and you realize your sense of obligation towards it as well. So I think there's a lot here to be said about how we can use space technologies just directly, about how we can use microalgae that can sequester carbon at the International Space Station, or that we could use that here on Earth also to clean up the atmosphere from carbon. So a lot of things that we have been developing initially for space have historically been used on Earth, and we will continue doing that. But not only in terms of technology for weather monitoring and the environment, but also for humanity, in terms of our understanding of the laws that exist. How can we build another civilization on a different celestial body if we're not able to handle things here? How do we apply the new ways of thinking, this thinking outside the box a little bit about how to create a system that is, foolproof, that takes into account human error? I think that's really important. And how do you enforce it? Because we need to be thinking about those things for the future of humanity and space, but we can directly apply it to change things here, which we really, really need to do. And I think it's a very urgent topic that we're talking about, and it applies directly to human trafficking and really being able to monitor the movement of humans. How do you do that? How can you find, everyone that's missing, let's say, like for example, or how do you treat that for everything else? So I think it's both monitoring, but also enforceability of law and a lot of other things.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Jack, so let's ask. I'm going to ask this last question to each of you, and then we'll use the remaining time for any audience Q&A, or if we cut that short, then I think there's lunch. So we'll see which is more important to you. So Jack, how do you see technology playing a role really in creating the awareness around human trafficking, the prevention of human trafficking, and then the support of these individuals, these survivors, after they're rescued?
That's a good question. I'm not sure I'm able to answer it.
Well, but I think you are, because the microfinance aspects of your work, it provides these opportunities, and a lot of the reasons for human trafficking is economic, right? So maybe think about it from that standpoint.
Well, one thing we discovered, and I've discovered since I started my foundation, is that there are lots of groups doing things that indirectly work in the favor of getting rid of slavery. We've had discussions with a guy in Brazil who has created an employment agency for young people, for people who are not making enough money, and for older people who are already having their retirement. They have furnished over 800,000 jobs in Brazil in the last 10 years. And these jobs very often go to people who are indigent and who may have been enslaved or are still enslaved, and they want to leave. And if there's a certain freedom left in Western countries, and certainly in countries that have a more stringent set of laws about, if you're working in a household, can you leave or not leave? Can you take your passport with you, and so on? So I think that's one example of what we find in developing countries, essentially, that have economies that are growing at a reasonable rate, and you still have a lot of people who are left aside. And I think those people can be helped enormously by the creation of jobs. And the creation of jobs, of course, if you're an entrepreneur, you know what it's all about, because you had to find the people, you had to train the people, you had to make a judgment for the people you hired. Are they worth keeping or not keeping, and so on. And I think this is a time to get entrepreneurs to be involved in doing something about the problem of slavery.
When we see, for example, movies or art, a piece of art, which is talking about the topic that's really touching our heart, and it makes people think about how can I help, try to find the way, and it also can be, like different art projects with a lot of information provided for the people. That's the first one, and the second one, I guess, that it's all about the education, because I think that blockchain, AI, can really help us to make all of the things remote, and it's really important to have these remote educational centers or platforms, but the most important thing is how we can actually integrate these people during the education into the global community, after the education, how to integrate them. And I think that blockchain, as well as like DAOs, really can help us in this, because I think that people can be united by making a decision together, by solving some problems together. And when everyone has their own voice in the community, they're really involved into the process. And it's really important in case of engaging people into these global questions.
Thank you so much, Daria. So Sarah, same question to you, and then we'll turn to the audience and see if there's any questions from them.
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about the vulnerability, and like you mentioned that too, and I think also my fellow panelists mentioned that it comes from the lack of opportunity. And when we're talking about like how that happens, we need to always take a step back and like understand why it's happening and address the bigger problem. And in communities and remote areas, not having opportunity can be solved through as simple as the internet. So I founded a company called DSI. It's a non-profit, and what we do is basically exactly that. So when I started my journey in the space field, I couldn't apply to positions in the field because of my passport. So it's really limited, and that's what happens in the space field, but it could be applied to all of the other fields where you can. So DSI is founded on that basis to address that bigger problem, and it does that through 3 different angles. So we do that through providing opportunities in research and providing educational material, and also working on the legal side behind the scenes as well, trying to understand the laws that exist that make international collaboration so difficult and that prohibit, let's say, US or European companies from hiring foreign nationals. So when we're looking at how do we address that, so we did that through these 3 angles. But when we're looking at remote areas where they are very vulnerable to human trafficking, we can also apply the same thing. And what I would like to suggest here too is maybe we can use a community, look at that one community, and try to help it through exactly that. It's a very, very simple idea. So I think the most complex problems just need very simple ideas. You just need internet, so you can have providers help with providing internet to these remote areas. You just need a little bit of funding to provide computers. And then, of course, it's going to take years and years for that to really completely change, or for that community to be not vulnerable, but I think we need to start somewhere. And it's about taking these like specific action steps where like it's A, doing this, B, doing this, C, doing this, and just building a business plan and just really seeing what that looks like, and just using one community, one small community as an example, and then applying that same system in different places. And it's a simple idea again, and we've tested it out at DSI where we provide opportunities to people from all over the world, and now we went from 30-something people to about 200 in 2 years, and we have researchers from all over the world who would otherwise not be able to have this opportunity. But just because they are very qualified, very intelligent people, we give them this opportunity, and they have shown incredible success at providing quality research and published in peer-reviewed journals. So it's really, people are very capable all over the world, and it's just about giving this one opportunity, this just one foot in the door, and you can see how incredible the results can be. And then they serve their own communities. So if you do that to one person in one community, they end up teaching their community and become their leaders in that communities. And then you continue doing that all over the world, and you create this interconnectedness between everyone, and just simplify things. Things are usually not as complicated as people make it seem. And there are very simple solutions to big problems. And I don't want to diminish this problem because I know that it's incredibly difficult. But doing this small step could have a ripple effect in hundreds of years. We're not going to see it completely diminished to do anything right now, but it could help at least like maybe 2 people. And I think 2 lives are worth helping, just 2. And I think those 2 lives could help other lives and then other lives. So I think maybe starting here, and I would love to talk more about that, and maybe like committing this and really seeing how we could apply this throughout 2024 and really seeing which community to work with and help, and really seeing how we can apply the same systems that we've done at DSI and really just do that for a community, and just tracking what happens with that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. No, I think there's always elegant, simple solutions to at least start down the path and then learn as you go. I mean, starting at community level. I believe our next session after lunch will be with Pir Mohammed, talking about his community and some of the incredible work that he's doing as well. So please don't miss that. So I want to give an opportunity. We have a few more minutes. If anyone has any question for any of our panelists, and then I guess after that it's lunchtime. Yes, I will be the Sherpa.
In many countries, the insurance industry is very, very controlled by the governments, but the governments willingly allow this to happen because they don't want farmers to go bankrupt and have to sell their land and not be able to produce anything anymore. So those kinds of solutions have been in place for the last 10 or 15 years. So I think
how can we increase the access to this microfinance capital specifically for farmers?
Well, I think there are many of the microfinance organizations that focus more on the outside of the big cities than inside of the big cities. It's a completely different kind of pattern. And many of these, I mean, I could even make you a list of those, maybe not in India, but in many of the other countries where we work directly. We were not allowed to do microfinance in India. The central bank required that be done by banks, and they were unwilling to let us turn NGOs into real banks. So I know India much less than places like Latin America, Southeast Asia, and so on. But I think there are some solutions. If you want to take a bit of time afterwards, I'm happy to talk to you about how to get more information on that.
Thanks, Jack. Perfect. Well, thank you everyone so much, and thank you to our panelists. I hope this was an engaging, interesting discussion, definitely some unique backgrounds and perspectives, and I think bringing those diverse perspectives to the table is really important, and one thing that GSN is really good at. As we were preparing for this session, we each shared a few documents that I believe Sarah will make available. One of them is really interesting. It's actually a survey you can take about your life, and it calculates how many slaves are involved in your life based on your consumption, your footprint of your life, your economic status. And so I think it's a great way to get that visual and just see like the impact that your life is having on so many of these impoverished people and people that are in bonded labor and slavery. So I urge you to take that. And now, I guess it's lunchtime. Sarah, I'll let you.
Right, friends, if you'd like to have a seat, and I think one or two people might drift in a minute. The problem with trying to work with a group of entrepreneurs is that everybody's got their own agendas and they're all, chasing those as well. So it's good, yes, some more people are coming in, welcome. We've looked at some issues about values and perspectives this morning, and some very interesting things about microfinance and the levers that the systems can have if they're, as Jack and others were saying, adopted and adapted properly. we're now going to move to going to the grassroots, really, looking at real people in real time and what kind of difference can be made in communities that are vulnerable to economic struggle, social struggle, and therefore to the predators of trafficking and slavery. We've got two amazingly distinguished and experienced colleagues who are going to help us. Pir Mohammed, who's long been part of GSN and has got a really interesting story to tell. And then Ruchit Garg is here, and bless him, just came from India last night and arrived this morning. So if you guys would like to come and sit up here, and I'll introduce the conversation and we'll listen to you. But because this is about real people in real time, I want you to listen in a way so that when we open it up, you can say, well, from my angle, what I do, this is what I might have been able to learn. This is what I might be able to do as a result of this conversation. So, yeah, so have a yeah, thank you. So I'm going to ask each of our panellists to speak briefly, about 10 minutes or so, about their projects and their approach. We'll then have some discussion on tables so you can begin to process it yourselves, and then we'll open up to a wider discussion. So, Pir, would you like to go first?
Yes, sure. Hello, everyone. This is Pir Mohammed Sadek. Today I'm going to share some details about an educational initiative which I have started in the area which is a rural part of Sindh province of Pakistan. And the area is surrounded by my family agricultural lands. We found that the local education system, which was predominantly provided by the government of Pakistan, was not to a level where children who come out of those institutes can get any better or good jobs. So we first tried to adopt these schools a couple of years ago, which was one of the policies of the government, that the locals can adopt the schools and then make sure that the teachers come on time and the education is, the entire day is properly spent, teachers and students. But even after that, the quality of teachers was not good enough, which was not up to the satisfaction. And reason being that it is a remote area, and it's hard to get a good faculty to settle there or come and teach. So you get people from the local area, and unfortunately they were not of the quality of our expectations. So we decided to open a quality educational center. So after the school time, children can come there and sit there freely, have access to internet, have access to books all around the world. And it's kind of a library and a space powered by solar power, where they were inspired, and we tell them how to, or guide them, how to lead their life and which direction, because in those countries, in those areas, the communities are poverty-stricken, and they don't have any idea of their own potential and what is available in the world as opportunities. So through 2 years of this practice, we found that the girls especially speaking better English with more confidence than their own teachers. And that encouraged us more. So we then offer them that if you are willing to take any profession of your career in educational path of your liking, we would support you fully and fund you, where we gave them the options what is available in the world and opened up the kind of a world for them. And two of them who have, who they themselves say that they never dreamed of even going to the next big city, which is Hyderabad, for education, have ended up in Germany. And they are doing their bachelor's in digital marketing, and this is their first year there. So what I'm trying to say is that when there is support built around, and people in these communities see that they can achieve their goals and dreams. We have brilliant minds, and they can actually do these things. And I also gave them one example, because this is really remote area and, as I said, power-stricken communities. So they have this blockade in their mind that how can we from this area, from these school systems, can make it to the world stage. So I gave them, which is an inspiring story I had seen on television a long time ago, so I gave them this kind of a talk, and I said that I had seen that one Moroccan lady in France came up, who was until the age of 10 or 12 was a shepherd, and she started to getting educated in France, and she ended up becoming the education minister of France. So if that can happen, then you are in much better place than her. You have gone at the right age into the first class of your school system, and you have all the potential if you are willing to put in the right effort and if you have the aptitude for it. And this way we have seen a lot of change, and all this initiative is financed from part of the income from my state, which is generated in that area from the lands. So that is one initiative, and other right next to it we are building a museum, which is a cultural and art and cultural promotion museum, where all the local non-affluent background artists will be supported, and museum should be ready in next 1.5 to 2 years. Museum hall will have display the objects and various old Qurans and scripts which I have inherited from my family. And these objects will tell the story connected to the world, which has not been talked about in today's times, and will tell that the gift sent to my forefathers or my predecessors by Tipu Sultan, the king of Mysore in India, was a token of affection, and what was at that time his approach towards humanity. And this area predominantly was dominated by the Sufi Islam, and which carried the values and grounded values were more based on humanity and brotherhood. And what have we landed up today in the current environment? So that will also guide the youth through the history, and then we aim to promote the local artists from that platform. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, brilliant, thank you. Thank you very much indeed. And so there are two stories there about the education. I love the idea of the girls who are actually doing it now. Yes. And that becomes a model to the rest of the community. And the fact that if we can show people the bigger story of which they're part, then that creates a much more mature perspective than when you're struggling in communities, you get drawn into a kind of aggression really towards those outside, or you fall for that kind of ideology if you're not careful. So thank you. Rushit, would you like to say
Yeah, sure. This is what. Hey, hi. My name is Ruchit, and I'll keep short and brief. I used to work for Microsoft, building operating system, phones, Xbox. Anyone? I was part of the team who built Xbox. But one fine day, I decided to sell everything and move back to India several years ago. Now we work with 4 million farmers, helping them make more money. We use technology such as AI, data, to help them cooperate better so that they can make a lot more money. We help them save, reduce the cost of cultivation, we help them grow better package of practices, and then also help them get better prices for their crops. So essentially, a massive cooperative driven by AI and technology is what we are doing it for several years now. And I think related to this subject, we are able to create a lot of thousands of actually village level entrepreneurs who have been able to increase their income by 2x and 3x because of our effort, which ties with all the other human trafficking and other related issues, because these people are the one, when the people fall into the poverty, that's when these things starts happening more and more. And I think the work we are doing is something very, very meaningful on ground. So yeah, that's my brief. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Yeah.
Okay, very succinct. Just have a minute with the people sat on your table to say, in that conversation, what strikes you from the points that have been made, what would you like to pursue, and where could you go and do something that imitates this kind of initiative? Just have a little conversation, and then we'll come back together again and have a bigger conversation. Is that all right? I just thought I want them to really bite it.
Yeah, otherwise they'll sleep off.
And hopefully, it'd be good if you could say a bit more about the AI and the technology, because we've got quite a lot of technological people.
There's a lot of pieces I just don't want to bore them to death. If there's an interest, we'll talk about that.
I also have something to say about tech.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah.
Which is in plan to in the expansion of this education center.
Okay, that's good. And also, I don't know if it'll come up, but it's always tricky doing this kind of thing in the political context. Because in one sense, governments feel they ought to provide education, and you know, I've learned through being in the British government's reality, you can't get rid of it or change it.
Yeah.
So there's an art, I think, of trying to work creatively within whatever the government's trying to do. And hopefully with their goodwill, even if you're doing something that they're not able to do themselves, we might just get people to think about that, I think. It would be very good and I'm going to ask Sarah if she would run around with a microphone, if she can, to allow people to participate. So, put your hand up on a table if you'd like to make a comment or ask a question. I know there are some people here like Vineet and others who may have things to say anyway, but if I could ask us now to stop the discussion, and have we got somebody over there?
All right.
Who would like, I want some comments and questions from your discussion. Don't be shy. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. If you just say who you are. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rowan D'Souza. I'm one of the board members for our nonprofit High Tech International. I was actually overhearing you talk, so I don't know if this comes off as rude or anything, but I think you mentioned using WhatsApp as a tool to accelerate, I guess, the market for agriculture, because agricultural goods do have a smaller time span, and to mitigate the loss of agriculture, you're using WhatsApp as a methodology to open up a new market to these farmers. Can you talk a little bit more in detail on how you set that up and what that looks like?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question. So, I think there's a journey here. I started as a high tech, and then from the high tech, I went high touch. But then I realized that the world revolves around trust. So my journey have been high tech to high touch to high trust, wherein we realize that the technology needs to be, seamless behind, wherein people doesn't have to change the behavior. So initially when I started, we have a farmer app, but I realized, there's no adoption, why there isn't. And then I realized that there's so much WhatsApp adoption in India. Almost everybody in the farming community, if farmer doesn't have a smartphone, maybe their kids have. So they know how to send a text, they know how to send an image. And that's where we said, you know what, if we build a tech behind the WhatsApp as a user interface, that will help. So we built a small but very powerful technology piece wherein a farmer sitting in the farm or standing or working, take a picture of the crop and sends us on the WhatsApp. There's an AI working behind which recognizes what is the crop, what is the disease, what is the controlling measure, what is the preventive measure, and then we also tell them, hey, you buy this solution from the nearby store, here is the phone number of that. So So what does that enable? It enables not only farmer to have almost instant access to scientific advice and connecting to the right person who have a genuine product at a cheaper price, but on the back end we have a lot of data. Suddenly we know the farmer, we know what the crop, we know how the disease is transferring from one village to other because I'm getting all these signals, and that's create a massive advantage for us. So imagine us being able to tell for the entire state of Punjab how many lakh acres of sowing has happened, how much it is growing every 15 days, and so on and so forth. Even a lot of existing government machinery can't do the things we can do today, thanks to this easy to use system where farmer doesn't know that they are talking to tech, and a lot of these things are happening. I hope I was able to answer the question. Yeah.
Do you want to say anything, Pierre, about the tech thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he was asked a question and he threw it back at you.
It's all right. Go on.
So on the technology side, in the same educational center, we are expanding to give tech trainings to these students. And I would take the opportunity here to say that under the able advisors of Bishop Alistair, Raza Jaffer, and Scott, Scott actually set up my meetings with Salesforce head office in London, and they were very excited to support these communities. And we are going to start soon Oracle programs and Salesforce programs to give them this training in the village with all the facilities available from us, so they can scale from that stage to another level. And when you are helping these communities there, it is very clear to see that you are actually helping them not to fall in the traps of human trafficking and not to fall in the traps of religious extremism and various other things. And once they are empowered, then they are in a different position and space to make the decisions of their life, and they are in a comfortable space to earn with dignity.
Yeah, thank you. It just occurs to me, something I've been involved in the UK is a farm work welfare app, because lots of people come into the UK for seasonal labour, really, and they're exploited and enslaved, and their passports taken away, and they live in terrible conditions, and they're not allowed to meet people. But people have access to phones, and although they're frightened because the gangs know where their families are and all that, they can look at the phone. And we were involved in producing an app where anybody could access it to say, what should proper work look like? What are the signs of exploitation? Am I experiencing that? Where I can raise questions? And of course, with the app, with like WhatsApp, you can do it under the radar. But it was sponsored by the National Farmers Union, that is the union of farmers in the UK, because they want to be good employers and they want to drive out the bad agencies. And there was an element on the app for farmers, and they could look up and it could say, what does it look like if somebody comes from an agency? What should you be looking for? What should you check? You should ask them if they've got their passport. So tech is a very powerful thing in agriculture, I think, to help both those farming and those giving their labour to know what's what and to be able to report and collect data. And the police, the National Crime Agency, are very involved in this scheme in the UK because it gives them data about where problems are and where people are hurting. So thank you, that was a really good question. I hope you got some kind of answer. Now, anybody else want to raise a question, a point? Because we want you to try and translate this into what you might be able to do or connections you've got. Right. Yes? Yeah. Where's Sarah with them? Thank you.
So, I'm Mary D'Souza, I run Single Family Office, and also I'm on the board of a non-profit that takes care of homelessness, low-income housing, mental health. So my question was to you, I'm sorry, I didn't know the name. But one of the things I think about is sustainability in terms of agriculture, right? And you can lower carbon footprint by becoming local. So Dubai is doing a good job of vertical farming. We were talking about that on the table. But in India, there's so much land. And I come from a place in Mango, and the place in Mango in Kerala, there's so much land, and there's nobody around, because they're either in Dubai or they're elsewhere. So one of the things I always keep thinking about is, how do you bring this land into cultivation? Do you have any ideas? Because we need to produce more food to feed the world.
I mean, I think having spent a lot of time in agriculture, I feel that we don't necessarily need to bring a lot more land under farming. We need to reduce the wastage. There is about 40% food which doesn't make it to the plate. That's our focus is pertaining to your question. So again, there is a lot more angle to sustainability, about less usage of pesticides and stuff like that. That also again, that's one of the things I ask, and I haven't heard this question yet, is, what are you doing for organic farming and stuff? And usually I end up saying that, hey, it's so easy to say, hey, why don't you grow organic farming? And it takes 3 years for a farm to convert from inorganic to organic. But then there is no market out there which differentiate a carrot which is an organic versus inorganic, right? So typically an organic carrot would look small and wiggly versus an inorganic carrot which is like, it's red and big, maybe much more sweeter, but nutrients deficiency is not there. So our current markets are not designed to value the nutrition, but the shape and the size and the colors, right? So sustainable, and you can't just barge in and say, hey, and there has been a lot of things from the pilot standpoint which has been done, that hey, let's do organic, but it has never been sustainable. It cannot be, because you have to build this process, you have to win the trust of the farmer, and that's when we can slowly transform them from 3 bags of pesticide to using 2 bags to maybe 1 bag, because I am nobody for him to listen to. Why would he listen? So our approach is, hey, let me make you more money, and 1 year he will use less pesticide, and maybe next year he will say, hey, when he speaks to Ruchit, that's what my name is, these guys help me make more money, let's hear more and maybe move from inorganic practices to organic. Yeah, just wanted to add that extra because of sustainability. Yeah,
thank you. Do you want to say anything, or is that right? Okay. Any other? We've got time for 1 or 2 other points. Yes, Tom.
Thanks so much. I'm Tom Hastings. I work at Queen's University Belfast. I suppose really linked to this question about sustainability, I had a sort of quick question to ask whether or not renewable technologies come into what you're doing at all. So, for example, there's a lot of work I've been involved in looking at the prospect of anaerobic digestion on different sized farms, and other renewable technologies in the UK, anaerobic digestion, AD, and wind farms are very big in the rural economy, and the state is playing a role in encouraging these technologies, but also in other contexts like Bangladesh, I know AD is an increasing feature in farms, and a lot of the byproducts of this can be used by farmers as entrepreneurs. They can use the digestate for other crops, they can grow other mushrooms with it. I just wondered if this was part of your thinking at all, before we do improve technologies.
Thank you. Who would like to go? Do you want to say something?
See, at the end of the day, we need to look at the ROI for the farmer. Everything is possible. We can drive a lot of these things. Unless we make it a business case for the farmer, none of these things will work. If you are familiar with parali issue in India, they burn all that subtle which is left over from the crop and creates a lot of pollution. And the part of the problem is all these solutions out there doesn't make a good business case. So as long as we think about a solution which is a good business case for the farmer, it will work. Otherwise, it would not work. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it occurs to me too that you want the business to be sustainable and participate properly in the economy wherever it is. But as Piers saying, you also want to give people a sense of agency, that they're involved in the decisions in working out what can be done. So it's a process of education as well, I think, and offering, rather than giving people packages really.
Yep.
to allow people to make their decisions, go at their own pace and design the agriculture around themselves, really. Okay, thank you for that. Anybody else want to make a comment or ask a question to push this along a bit further? There's a microphone. You're on a roll now, so come on.
Just in terms of education, this question for you. There's a supply-demand imbalance, right? I mean, we don't need that many graduates from MBA programs or bachelors or whatever. We need more people in what do you call it? You know, carpentry and plumbing and, you know, computer code and development and all that stuff, engineering and all that stuff. So in terms of what you do, and also, I mean, you can add a lot of value because there are certain things in very poor areas where you can teach skills where people can start earning income. So how will you execute it in terms of that?
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, very good question. Keeping that in mind, we have started and aiming to give the tech training, which starts from the educational level of matriculate onwards, and then they go into the tech side, and then sky is the limit. On the other side, along with the cultural center and the museum, we also have recently, I was contacted by the German embassy in Pakistan, and they are willing to bring in the skill development program where they want to recreate the old furniture and carving which has been lost, and they want to give the training, and they will bring the machinery free of cost, and they'll bring the trainers. That's on the side of the furniture. Along with that, the skill development for the tool machinery for spare parts of the cars, they want to do that too. So I was very happy to see that once you start something, then things automatically fall into right place if your heart is in the right direction. So that's what we are aiming to do and give them the skill trainings.
Do you want to say anything on that, or you want to add anything?
I was sleeping through. No, so huge role education plays. The way we attack it is, again, WhatsApp based, many things. If we know a farmer is growing rice, we know for 64 crops week over week what will happen if you do the seed now, and then over the period we sort of keep sending them those educational material for the farmers so that they can improve or reduce the minefields they may have. So that's the kind of thing we are doing as far as education goes there, with the farming.
No, thank you. Yeah. Right, there could be one more, and then we're going to move to the next session. So, who else can dig into this and either provoke us or give us a steer in a kind of direction? Okay, well, we'll have to come back to... Oh, yeah, one, please. Yeah, go on, Sarah.
Hi, good evening. My name is Hazel from Edge Marketing. This question, and it's a question and an observation to Mr. Beard. It's on the museum and cultural arts center which you are establishing or trying to establish. It's an excellent concept because that by itself is an education. It's art, beauty, awareness and knowledge. Are you kind of trying to, or is it possible that you spread it to other cities or other nations, and this concept by itself, it's a knowledge that, automatically the younger generation and the communities will develop with all these things.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. What we are trying to do is that we will have the 3D access for visiting the museum remotely from anywhere in the world. So one would be able to go and visit each room and be able to zoom on to objects and get the details about them. And then we will have these objects to travel around the world into other museums and have exhibitions there. And I think, and the location is selected to be in the rural part of Pakistan. We have museums in Karachi and we have museums in major cities. But this is to give really the impact and reflection and promote the rural population. So that's what the idea is.
Thank you. That's good. Thank you. Well, bless you both for what you're doing, which is with real people in real time, edging us forward, but creating models that other people can use and develop and be inspired by. Very, very powerful. So can we say thank you to our panelists? So you're released.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think we're going to have a session now. Rather than going to come and... Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi everybody. I can see that we have had a wonderful day so far, but too much information and a lot lesser interaction. So if you all want to be part of the discussion, then I would really recommend come as close as possible, because I think we'll have an opportunity to have communication with each other, with Nasser, who is an amazing young gentleman who has really made a huge difference. He came out with 1,000 one-minute videos?
Yes. Hi everybody. Nice to meet you. There we go. Hi.
And he has really made huge impact. I know people like Bill Gates could not reach out to as many people than he engaged him.
Yeah, it doesn't translate to money, don't worry.
I know what translates to money. Andrew Forrest couldn't reach out to people, and he reached out to him, and he made a big difference. So yes, guys, if we want to learn how to communicate and what does the future communication look like, I don't think we can have a teacher better than Nasser.
Yeah, but you're pretty good at it already. Like, I love how you speak. You're very loud and you're very slow. It's nice.
Thank you. I'm just now listening to your one-minute videos and learning from them. I wanted to ask Nasser, tell us in 1 minute, what do you do? And then I want to ask you, what did you know about GSN before meeting me?
Okay, I'll start with the second question, okay? Nothing. And I'll explain why. We'll talk about this. Hi everybody, my name is Nasir. It's a very complicated name. Yes, sire. No, sire. Yes, sire. No, sire. I started a thing called Nas Daily. Nas means, does anybody here speak Arabic? The photographer definitely speaks Arabic. What does Nas mean? What does Nas mean in Arabic? In Nas? People, exactly. So people daily. So the whole idea was, hey, let's go around the world and tell stories of interesting people. There's a lot of interesting people sitting in this room. And then if you tell the story of them in a high energy, video format, people will watch. So I made 1,000 of these videos in 1,000 days, 2.7 years of torture, never missed a day, not even once. And it blew up. It became one of the biggest things on social media. Videos on social media blew up in general in the last 7-10 years. So I think what we're witnessing now is a revolution of media. We're sitting in the middle of it. A revolution of media. I mean, look, this guy's got a phone, that person's got a phone, that person's got a phone. So everybody has become CNN. Everybody has become Fox News. Some have become Al Jazeera. Some have become New York Times. But What do we think of that? Anyway, so it's a beautiful thing where everybody now has a voice, and I just happen to be very loud.
Well, thank you very much. How many followers do you have? How many people do you reach out to? There are two different questions.
Yeah, wow. Oh, I love how you know the difference. So first of all, followers don't matter. It's a fake number. There's many fake numbers in the world. We're not going to talk about the other ones, but there's a real fake number, which is the number of followers. However, on social media, we have roughly 66 million followers in 13 different languages. So we have 2 million in Russian, 2 million in Vietnam, 30 million in English, 5 million in Arabic. So there's different channels with the same video is translated to different languages. And, but every month we roughly get 400 million views or so. But again, these are all fake numbers. People know about the videos. That's all we need to know.
No, because when you say you get about 400 views, right? 400 million views. Yeah, of course, that's a serious number. Like, I just want to know like a tangible number, because Bill Gates is somebody that we all respect and know. He made a video about malaria. How many views did he get on his own, and how many views could he get through you as a channel? I'm talking as a business.
That's a very good question, actually. And the beautiful thing about the algorithm is that it does not care about your skin color. It does not care about whether you're Bill Gates or not. It does not care about your race or gender. It doesn't care. If you make a good video, you get many views. If you make a bad video, goodbye. So you see presidents, you literally see presidents of entire countries that can barely get 2 likes, which is beautiful to see, to be honest. So really, so you should have to play with the algorithm. So I think Bill Gates averages roughly probably 1 million views or so for a new video. We actually worked together with Bill Gates last September, to try to tell the story of what they're working on, and it did pretty well. And I think you see presidents and governments and Bill Gates need creators. They need 25-year-old TikTokers to tell their story because they just do it so much better. And so that's one of the biggest learnings I've had.
And how much would you get compared to his million?
I think we worked together and we got roughly 10 million for the video we did together.
More.
Yeah, roughly 10 times more.
So I go back to my hurt feeling about when you said you did not know anything about GSN. I mean, can you imagine?
Whose fault is that? Mine or yours?
I don't know, you know.
Is it theirs?
Let's find somebody here to blame it on. Yeah. But what do you think? What were we doing wrong that nobody knows? This agenda is so important. Another question, comes to my mind. Did you know much about human slavery, human trafficking, or not?
No, I was enslaving myself for 1,000 days making videos. I didn't know anything about other issues that matter, no.
So it's not only GSN, that means the whole subject is not getting enough attention.
I thought it was like 300 years old.
Oh my God. You know, my Bishop Alistair is here, and we have some of the members, including Lisa, and I think Noah was there. We've got a few people who were part of December 2nd, 2014, when all faith leaders joined together in signing a joint declaration against slavery. This is after all the faith got together. I remember Dr. Samarai, we came here and said, media, we need to talk about media, and we were told, this is not the favorite subject worldwide, so maybe this is not the right time, right? So at that time we could understand we were restricted. Nobody wanted to talk about it. My very dear friend who you know, Andrew Forrest, we joined together in launching through Walk Free the Global Slavery Index. And we had issues with countries saying, why do you rate me here and why do you rate me there?
Oh, interesting. What's the worst country?
The one that does maximum slavery.
What's the name? Who's at the bottom of the list and who's at the top of the list?
So it keeps fluctuating every second year. It is basically a few countries remain there because absolute numbers, which includes India, includes China, includes some of the African countries, including Nigeria, Pakistan. So I think we have these 10 countries which are really not even acknowledging we have a problem.
Wow, and who's the best country?
But best countries are Nordic countries because they are really ahead of the game and they really are probably the most civilized nations in the world.
Interesting. And so you guys did this index?
So we as Walk Free at that time worked on this index and created that index, and now this index is independent. We did awareness program. We launched an organization called Global Freedom Network at that time, GFN, and that did the Joint Declaration Against Slavery. After doing that, with all these organizations around the world who work on ending slavery, work together in getting United Nations to include ending slavery. And then in 2015, after UN SDGs were announced, GSN took place with Bishop Alistair and myself having this chat in the House of Lords saying, how do we go forward? So we said we're going to focus next 15 years in achieving goal 8 as much as possible by creating a platform which is a platform for government, faith, businesses, non-profits, and media to come together.
So by the way, him and I go way back. We're actually friends, okay? So we can be very honest with each other. The last things you just talked about, okay, you in House of Lords, nobody cares about that. United Nations, nobody cares about that. Platform, nobody cares about platforms. Meeting, nobody cares about meetings. Conferences, definitely nobody cares about conferences. So none of the things you just mentioned are viral material. Yes, indeed. So you're doing a lot of one-to-one work, or 1 to 10 or 1 to 50 people work. That's great, and I'm sure it's very deep, and you have very high-quality people. You are the sniper. I am the machine gun. What does that mean? A sniper is somebody that says, if I want to close a deal, I'm going to go to the CEO, and we're going to close the deal. A machine gun is like, and hope the CEO is one of them. So my work is, let me reach 400 million people every single month and hope that one of them is a decision maker that can be influenced. You are saying, let me go to the House of Lords in the UK and then talk to the people that matter to create influence. You're doing too much sniping, not enough machine gunning.
So how do we really join forces in making an impact where you use machine gun and sniper wisely?
Did you ever think you'd ask such a question?
No, I thought that's the only thing that works.
I mean, look, the index you launched, I mean, the index is very viral material, right? Like, one thing I noticed from building this thing for the last 8 years is that people love extremes. Something that's extremely good, or something that's extremely bad, or something that's extremely interesting. If you just tell me, hey, I just had a normal day today. I went to work, came back from work, went to the gym, and then slept. Well, that's really boring. That doesn't go viral, right? But if somebody says, hey, I just jumped off a helicopter today, it's like, okay, that's interesting. So you got to look at the extremes in the work you do. And unfortunately, in the work you do, there's a lot of extremes. Slavery is that. So you can already imagine, if you came up with the index, let's create a video called The Country with the Least Slavery in the World, Iceland. And then another one, the country with the most slavery in the world. I don't know, whatever country your research tells you. I'm not going to suggest names.
I like for you to suggest something.
I'm not going to suggest names. But these are two viral videos. I would click on the second one. Then you can tell stories of people. Let's say you actually find a real human that was enslaved for 1 or 2 years. Okay? Tell their story. Every single day we get a story of somebody in North Korea who escaped and they become super viral. Right? That is people stories. People love people. They don't love GSN. They don't love GNF, GSN, UN, House of Lords. They don't love acronyms. People love people. That's why NAS means people.
Wow, that's powerful. It's really powerful. I want you to just show us a couple of things about NAS. And I think I could ask Zuhair to pull something up on the net and tell us a little bit on demo of what is a video that to look at as an example. And then I would like you guys to think of questions and tell us. But question has to be a very simple, straightforward question that could have an answer.
Yeah, and make the question hard and sensitive and difficult. Yeah. No favorite, don't ask favorite color questions.
Yeah, all those questions are difficult ones to Nas.
Let's see. If you just Google Nas Daily, she owns 11 private planes, for example. An extreme person, okay? If you just show it up. So, an entrepreneur in India, a woman entrepreneur in India, who owns 11 private planes. You kind of want to know how, and how did she get that money? How many private planes do you have?
None.
Okay, she has 11.
Wow.
Wow. It's like, wow. So let's see her story, and people would click on this, people would share it. You saw that video? Yeah, I think some people saw it. So in a way, it's like through that person's story, you can be inspired by entrepreneurship in India, and specifically women entrepreneurship in India. So you can create these narratives. Yeah, let's play a couple of seconds of it. See, very fast shots. Just play it, it doesn't fit voice. Anyway, an example of that video got, I think, roughly 40 million views or so on the internet because it is so rare. Now, the question you should ask yourself, who here has such an interesting story that could get 10 million people interested? Or somebody
to fly any of them.
Hi, Nasdali. I'm Kanika.
Who is she, and why does she have so many jets?
9 planes and 2 helicopters.
And why can't she fly them?
And she cannot fly her planes.
Full story. Kanika is from India, and ever since she was a kid, she was in love with planes.
Anyway, you get the idea. So, this is not a text. If you write an article about somebody, ain't nobody gonna read it. Articles are dead. No offense. If you make an image about somebody, ain't nobody gonna share it because TikTok does not even support images. It doesn't support images. There's no more images. That's dead. So the only way to get distribution today is videos, but not videos of conferences, videos that are highly, highly produced. Music, storyline, nice shots. First 5 seconds are crazy. 10 hours of work on this video, maybe 20 hours of work. So that is how you can get really a lot of attention.
That's very helpful. Can any one of you think of an idea right now and ask Nussair if that can go viral or not? Okay, that's the first one. Yeah. Sorry?
Maria's story. So actually she could go viral. She has a very interesting story. She broke 20 Guinness World Records. She takes care of hundreds of kids from Bangladesh. Maria is an example of somebody's story that could go viral and did go viral. She's sitting right here.
There you go. I think this was a great job. And I think you played an important role in it going viral as well.
No, she just, not yet, but we should talk about it.
All right, what else? Next one. Any other ideas? Yes, please, you go ahead. No, you're right in the front.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe.
Stand up and scream.
Yeah, scream. That's his lesson.
While I'm sitting. Okay, so I'm actually very much well connected on LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn. It's quite different than TikTok and IG and Instagram. So on LinkedIn, we are much more, how can I say, target-focused clients. So I think this is something between that, the sniper and, what you do. And I think that's actually for certain people at certain levels, especially like C-level executives and leaders, is something that they should not neglect that. And although like the TikTok things are going viral or the Instagram videos are going viral, the audience are quite different. Yes, you need to also understand the audience, the market, the targeted audience,
yes,
and all of these. So what do you think about LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is an AK-47. So it's not a sniper, it's not a machine gun, it's like really, as you said, right in the middle. I completely agree. So we have 200,000 followers on LinkedIn, and we have 7 million on TikTok. The 200,000 on LinkedIn are more important than 7 million on TikTok. That's for sure. I think the issue with LinkedIn is that most people are kind of using it wrong. I just got promoted. I just got a new position. This is me at a conference. That I think does not go viral. What people need is a better LinkedIn strategy where you actually provide value from every post. Now, LinkedIn is moving slowly but surely to become like a Facebook. Slowly but surely, LinkedIn is realizing, wait a minute, having your LinkedIn experience on your profile is nice, but you don't come back. I want to find ways to make you come back to LinkedIn every single day, even if you're not looking for a job. And to do that, I must show you interesting video content on the feed. So my bet is that in the next 1 year, LinkedIn videos are going to be really, really powerful. And anybody that makes good LinkedIn videos will get massive distribution. But what's a good LinkedIn video? It's slightly different than a TikTok video. But I definitely think there's an opportunity there.
Yeah, but at the moment, even without the video, if you have a great written content.
Yes, for now, written content does somewhat okay on LinkedIn. Nobody knows what does better on LinkedIn, pictures, text, or video. But from my conversations with them, I think they're moving more and more towards video, like the rest of the world. Good luck.
So, that's great. I've already identified a couple of people who we could really sort of give our opinion to while you're here, right? So there are initiatives which I can see Jack Lowe has Fit for Life, and he's embarking on this amazing partnership with the Ashoka Fellows. And I want to see what is it that you think you're planning to do, or what is it that Nasser thinks can make a much bigger difference. So that's one thing. I know Nabila was one of the first few people who we gave the Freedom Seal to, but we really don't know what's going on. You've got 1 million followers of your own, but is there something you could do? I can see that Kate is sitting there who's working on inclusion, and I really think it's a global issue of inclusion, and we don't have even this SDG 8 goal meeting does not have anybody from people of determination ourselves. So we're talking about something we don't practice ourselves. We've got Lisa Kristen. Lisa is here. She's making a huge impact with her photography, but is it something that is really making a difference, and how can we make it more effective? So if we could start with asking Jack. Jack has a mission on Fit for Life. He's the chair and the founder of the Fit for Life Foundation, and his ambition is to get more and more people of 50 and above and 45 and above, and mainly people more than 60 and above, to remain healthier for as long as possible. But this message has to come out. There are 500 exercises, there are many things. Jack, would you like to just ask a question from Nasser as to what he could do in 1 minute?
Yeah. Basically, in my iPad, I have an 8-minute video, which is the start of a documentary we're doing about good health. And it starts off with me climbing up a ravine at 2,300 meters.
What are the first 5 seconds of that? The first 5 seconds of that video, what do you see?
The first 5 seconds you see me coming down from the Aiguille du Midi, with crampons and with my guide and so on. And then you see the really good stuff 3 minutes later when I'm suffering, and just really trying to make it up. And then one of the guys says, "How old are you anyway?" I'm 82. Oh my God, And these are all recorded. Professional cameraman who is a mountain expert. And we're following this up with a 7-day climb on bikes up the Tour de France mountain passes in France. So we're going to have 2 short videos that just tell the basis, like this one, and then we're going to have one which is a real documentary about how many years of good living you can add to your life if you stay in shape.
So first of all, what you do is it's God's work. It's so inspiring. And I think longevity and fitness is the next hottest thing ever. It's super sexy to be fit and to be living long at an old age. So there's massive demand for this. And I know this because for the last 6 months, I've also made content about fitness as I go through that journey myself, and every single video did well. So you are in the right industry of viral or things that need attention. But notice some of the words you used. You said, the good stuff is 3 minutes in. Nobody is going to wait 3 minutes for that good stuff. The second thing you said, a short video that's 8 minutes long. These guys' attention span is 8 seconds. So a short video, an 8-minute long video is the longest video I made last year was 12 minutes. The longest. So 8 minutes is very, very long. Then you said something else, which is we're making a documentary. You only have one place to put that documentary, Netflix. Otherwise, ain't nobody gonna watch it. So that's really the problem you're facing right here, which is how can we take the whole documentary and turn it into 10 one-minute pieces of content, 10 one-minute stories. And of course, you're not expected to do that. You have so much to take care of, like the actual climbing.
No, you could be my partner.
Yes, we can partner together. But my recommendation to a lot of people here, because right now I'm transitioning actually out of content. I'm moving to, we have 100 people in my company, and I'm becoming hiring and firing kind of guy, like you. I'm inspired by you now. So my recommendation to everybody here is find a 21-year-old guy or girl from some random hostel, okay, not from LinkedIn, and that have a creative spirit, and just have them shadow you. Call them creator in residence, CIR, okay, or call them chief creative officer, CCO. And give them more than $3,000 a month, okay? They will be very happy, and some food, and they will feel like they're in heaven. And just tell them your only job is to make a video every 2 days. That's it. Make a video about Fit for Life every 2 days and put it on TikTok. Make it vertical. That's it. And I think after 100 videos, one of them will do great, and it'll pay back for everything. It's very similar to the venture model. The venture model, venture capital is, right, I invest in 100 companies, 2 of them will become unicorns. Similarly, you invest in 100 videos by this chief creative officer, 2 of them will get 1 million views. And that's really what's going to put your work on the map. And it's very cheap.
No, that's amazing. I really think this deserves a... Seriously, that's amazing. Okay, just 1 second. Nabila, do you have something? Because
Nabila has 1 million followers. She knows everything she needs to know.
No, okay. Do you have a question? No, okay. We move on to, just a second. Okay, I'll go to Rani and then Kate. Rani? Sorry, I'm
This curiosity, what kind of money, when the video goes viral, what does that mean? No,
how much money do I make? You want to ask that private question? How rude!
No, you say how much, sorry, what is your question specifically?
How much money do you make from the video?
No, do you make from the video?
What is the number? What does that mean?
Okay, so that's a very good question actually. Let's talk about money. It's a very exciting topic. The only one that gets rich when you make a video that gets 1 million views on TikTok is TikTok. The only one that gets rich when a video goes viral on Instagram is Mark Zuckerberg and every employee of Meta, right? They're great people, but that's why they are worth $100 billion. So the problem is many of these platforms do not give you anything. TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn gives you $0. So we'll talk about that soon. But so we get 300 million views or so, 400 million views or so. 300 million of them are on these platforms, so we make $0. 100 million of these views are on YouTube and Facebook. YouTube and Facebook give you some money. Every 1 million views, you get $1,000.
Oh wow!
Yeah, like roughly, if you're lucky. If you're based in India, $200. It's really, it's a joke. Economically, the economics are a joke. So as you can tell, it's creators are not being valued financially. Meanwhile, Wall Street bankers are making billions of dollars. So there's something fundamentally wrong with this economy right now. So the question is, how do I make money from this? Well, if you get the attention of 1 million people, you can make $1 million. Attention equals dollars. The views equals, VWS equals USD in my book. So if I get attention of 1 million people, one of these people is the CEO of Mustar, for example, or TP World, and they say, I like what you do, let's work together, here is money, help me create content, we charge for that, okay? So that's an example of how you can monetize attention. Also, you can sell things to your audience. For example, Fit for Life. Hey, I am 82 years old and I'm fit. Buy this book that I just wrote. I am a living example of this book, and so $20 and I'll ship it to you for free. You can get 10,000 people to buy it from one video, and that's $200,000 from one video. The economics are terrible if you don't do anything, but they're amazing if you sell something. So with Nas Daily, when I had 1 million followers, I made $3,000 a month, which was very sad. Then, when I hit 10 million followers, I was making $100,000 a month, which was very happy. Now, we roughly make $1 million a month from all the stuff that we do. We sell to clients, we make money from social media, and we manage social media. So, and we sell to our own community as well. So, all like 5 different businesses that contribute this much.
What's the guarantee of second videos in the viral?
Oh, there is zero guarantee that your second video will go viral. Welcome to this terrible world. So I'm not here to sell you guys to become content creators. Actually, you should not. But what I'm trying to sell you here is the idea of adopting content creators. Everybody here should have a creator in residence. How come you don't have a creator in residence?
I'm not on social media.
Oh my goodness, you're not on social media.
I use WhatsApp, like king of WhatsApp. I don't use emails, I don't use anything, just WhatsApp.
WhatsApp is also the largest social media in the world. I mean, you get Nas Daily videos forwarded on WhatsApp.
That's right.
Content is like COVID. It spreads like wildfire. Just make the right piece of content and you can reach anybody in the world. What does it take for me to reach Obama right now? Just make one video. One of my followers will share, most likely is their friend. And they'll just share it with them on WhatsApp. And then Obama will see it. Literally, that's how you can reach presidents. It's a friend of a friend. And the 3 degrees or 6 degrees of separation? Yeah, I mean, it's the content is that. Within 6 degrees, you can reach anybody in the world.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So I just wanted to ask inclusion. And I wanted to ask Lisa, both of you, very quickly, what are we doing? How can we use this digital media and the guru sitting next to us to give a suggestion like he did for Jack? I think that makes a lot of difference. Are we really going to do something about it? Do we have a plan?
How much money are you willing to spend on it?
Yeah, just tell us.
So at the moment, our media presence is pretty small. We've got a personal LinkedIn presence. It's pretty okay, around 10,000 followers. But what we really need help with is how do we really curate ourselves as people who have a very strong message. Like it's not necessarily about monetizing our social media. It's about placing ourselves as people who are driving inclusion across the region, because a lot of people know us individually, like in conferences like this, but in the general public, they don't. So how would you essentially create your message, curate your message?
For GSN?
No. I will just sort of clarify this part, which I get it, that I think the discussion I had in mind, and I think she's alluding to that, is inclusion. At least 15% of the global population are people of determination. I don't see anybody in our Rolodex, I don't see anybody in my dinners, I don't see anybody anywhere I go, because they're inconvenient to deal with. I have problems with many things, but we need to be inclusive, but this message has to go throughout the world. We need to be inclusive. So what is it that we could do to bring this to people's attention and make it happen?
That's a very straightforward thing, create an Instagram page called People of Determination. Every week, make 3 videos about 3 people from around the world that have a disability but have been able to rise above the disability by doing something incredible. For example, we highlighted a guy that has no arms and no legs in Indonesia, but he's a photographer. We highlighted a guy in Denmark who has, I believe, MS, and he ran a marathon with his twin brother, right? His twin brother is including him in his marathon, right? We've highlighted so many people. We've highlighted the world's shortest woman, the world's tallest man. There's so many examples of people of determination that have succeeded in life. And so find 3 of them every week and make a video about them, and people will be inspired. And in each of these videos, say what you just said. Hey, this is an example of somebody that's successful. We should all be inclusive. Done. Thank you. Goodbye. See you next week. Okay? And that's how you can raise your message. Really, the problem we're facing here is not a problem of can we do it or not, is how much are we willing to invest money that we're definitely going to lose in doing this. If you come and say, I want to spend $1 million a year on this because I care so much about this message, then you can hire 5-10 people and they can do it, and you can reach millions of people, but you'll never make money from it.
Yeah. So if as a non-profit, what do you think is the minimum amount of money that can make a bit of impact? Like 100,000 can make an impact or not?
Yeah, so that's the issue with this. It's not even just a non-profit. It's a non-revenue.
Yeah, non-revenue. Absolutely. Okay. No, like somebody funds it.
It's so
what
sad.
What is the minimum?
I just want to cry. Non-revenue. But we care about the message, right? We care about the message.
What is minimum amount you think can make an impact?
The minimum is how many people does it take to create content? It's roughly 2 to 3 people, just say 3 people. Are these people based in Dubai? Let's say average salary, 3.5K, 4K, let's say 12K USD per month for these 3 people to make this content. 12 times 12, roughly 150K USD is probably the minimum.
Wow, that's a very, very good math. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Amazing. Great. Lisa, we want to ask you that you've done amazing photography, you've done amazing work so far, but the world needs to see what you have done. Are you doing anything, or are you interested in doing anything that reaches out to the world? Because like, for example, Kofi. I see Mahan over here who just acquired Kofi, and she has it in her place in Switzerland. Your work from Africa, explaining a story, ends up being in somebody's place, right? So do you want to make it viral or you don't?
What a question. I'm a still image person, right? Like
Right.
I believe really strongly in a still image as well as video. But I will say that the power of a photograph has that visceral content where you can really pause and stare. It's not moving, it's very quiet. And a lot of relationship can happen between the viewer and that image. Having said that, in terms of social media, I share images. And every once in a while I do a video. And I've done a TED Talk, it has over 3 million views, and those are compelling stories about those individuals in these, dire circumstances, sharing those images. But I guess my question would be, what would be like a profound way to use social media, knowing that those images are still? Like knowing that that's the heartbeat of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Look, the only reason I said images are dead is because the algorithm said that to us, right? In the sense that if you compare the performance of an image versus a video, you're looking at like a 5x difference, if not 10x. So that's the only reason. But images in real life, in museums, in our daily life are very powerful, right? The world changed because of images. So my recommendation would be is to tell the story of the image, not the image itself, how you created that image. I'm going to walk you through the process of how I got this image in final form, okay? 1, I went to this country. 2, I talked to this person. 3, I failed here, I took 500 shots. Then this happened, then this shot became so good, and now you see it like this, right? So people like to know the story of how and why. If you notice on the internet, the most viral videos in the world are the ones that start with how, why, what. How I survived 80 days without eating. Everybody wants to know how. So, how I took this image, while I was asleep. I don't know, some random thing, but the story of an image can do well. But that would be my recommendation. My recommendation. But for sure, I mean, it's incredible the work that you do.
Thank you.
So I have a question in this. If she picks up, say, 25 of her best images and then creates a 1-minute video of each image, that how she did that image, the background of that image, do you think something like that can make a difference, that the image is on and she has a small screen, a picture explaining the video of how she made that image?
Yes, but it depends who's making the video. If it's your first 25 videos yourself, I'm not sure it would go viral. Just for context, I started Nas Daily, making 1,000 videos in 1,000 days. Do you know when the first video went viral? Which number?
20, 30?
20, 30? 271!
Kidding.
It took 271 goddamn videos. Sorry. Damn videos. Sorry, Pastor. 271 failures until one video went viral.
Wow.
So yes, if she makes 25 videos, it is possible, but in my personal experience, I failed in my first 25 videos. So if you make it work, you are a genius.
I do think that's sort of like a daily, to have a video a day, not just an image a day, but a video a day.
So I believe in deadlines more than I believe in myself. Probably. I allowed myself 24 hours to make a video. You can allow yourself 72 hours. I actually think you need 72 hours. I think 24 just is torture. So 72 hours is probably a good thing, but you must never break that deadline. Never break that deadline. Otherwise, the video will carry on forever. That's why we have art projects that are 20 years in the making. What is that church in Barcelona or Madrid? It's like 100 years in the making because it's an art project. There's no finish line to art. You'll never reach perfection. I never made a perfect video. I just made a video by the deadline. But it was never perfect.
Thank you for your time.
Good luck.
If I can just borrow that. Yeah, there we go, Rogelio.
I just have, my question would be, I know you said to definitely find a young content creator. I'm with you on that. Sorry, okay, can you hear me now? Okay. Well, what if someone, let's say, wanted to go towards like editing the videos themselves? And I know it's crazy because now they have TikTok, they may have it in the programs, maybe already set up in there. I don't even know. Because I now feel behind the ball. I'm 45, but I'm still...
You're 45?
Yeah.
Wow, you look 25.
Well, I appreciate you. You know what I mean? My beautiful wife helps me here. But what I wanted to know is, I guess, how would someone go, I guess, to learn how to maybe edit these things themselves? Because sometimes, like, I can get someone to video it, but in order to get it to where I might have to be a part of the editing or pay for that as well. So I didn't know if you could.
So look, 10 years ago, to edit a video, you needed insane equipment. And 10 years ago, it was so hard to edit a video. It would take me 10 hours. Now, people can edit a video in 10 minutes. Next year, the video will edit itself for you. So this whole idea of editor, I think it may disappear because just computers will edit it itself and you just give written feedback and then it'll just do it yourself. So in general, I don't like to learn a skill that's going to be obsolete in 5 years. And my theory, my bet, is that editing as a skill will be obsolete in 5 years. Computers will do it. So if I were you, to be honest with you, I would find an editor because your time is valuable. I don't know how much money you put per hour on your life, but like the value of your life every hour Like, if it's more than $30 per hour, then you should definitely get an editor.
Yeah, gotcha.
What is the number for you?
I would like to ask you, what do you think is, from your work experience, what work has got the most exposure, engagement, what work has done, what was the most impactful work, on your opinion, and who do you think it's nowadays it's social media genius, on your opinion? Who is doing
Who's like a social media genius? Usually it's the biggest, so probably Mr. Beast. Probably whoever is the biggest at the time. Every 5 years there's somebody else who's biggest. Usually that is the genius of the 5 years, the genius of the decade, for example. But it's very hard to quantify the videos that we make, because if 2 videos get 1 million views, not all views are equal. Would you rather get 1 million views from 1 million high schoolers, or 100 views from 100 presidents, world presidents? I would rather get 100 views than 1 million views. So not all views are equal, and that is the tricky thing about social media. It makes it look like it's equal, but it's not. So if somebody has 10 million followers in America, it's so much more valuable than 10 million followers in Asia. Money-wise, impact-wise, influence-wise, it's crazy. The amount of culture dominance that America has, and money dominance, is insane. So yeah, I don't really have favoritism over the videos, because every video is a child. And if you ask RJ here, who's your favorite child, what would you answer?
My number 2 child, I'm just kidding. You see, I have simplified my life. People are still stuck in this question in their life, egg or the chicken. I've decided it was the chicken. I'm 50% right. I'm moving ahead with it. I don't want to live in confusion. So I want to thank you, Nasser, but I also got reminded when you were giving everybody amazing solution, and that's very simple. It's just obvious. It's so easy. So it's easy for you, and that reminded me of an artist. I've actually remembered only 50% of the story, so I'm mentioning the name, which may not be correct, so don't quote me on it. So it was somebody like Picasso sitting having his meal outside a restaurant, and some extremely wealthy lady goes out to him and says, "Oh, maestro, can you draw something for me? I've got a canvas and a brush right here, and please do something for me." And he said, "Please leave me alone. I'm busy having lunch with my friend." He said, "Just ask for any amount of money and I'm ready to give it to you. Just draw anything for me." So he goes out in 10 minutes, draws something beautiful and asks for some huge amount of money, and it could have been 100,000 or so. And she says, "Oh my God, you want 100,000 for just 10 minutes work?" And he goes, "You know, it took me 30 years to do it in 10 minutes. So all that is so simple for you is not also easily achieved." So thank you very much, Nasser, and thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening, and thank you all for inviting me. Keep up the great work. You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, let's take a picture.
No, I'll be here. Be careful, let's not fall.
1, 2, 3.
Can I ask everybody to come closer? We'll all be together. Let's all GSN be together with Nasser. Come on, guys, please come in. I just don't want to miss you guys. Hey, you're going to be seen by 400 million people here.
No. It's not going. This is a picture, remember. 1, 2, 3. Cute. Amazing. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, he's good. Takeaways. It is very important that each of us, if we're responsible and serious, like brothers and sisters, being really oppressed and injured and their humanity taken away, that each of us does give a bit of time, now says 1 minute's enough, to say, what can I take away that I will try and make a difference in the way I live, the networks I have, the people I operate with. I think we owe it to so many people who are not here, not seen, just supporting all this mad world we're in at cost to themselves. So I would implore you, as you go away at some stage, just to try and make a note, a one takeaway for you. And Sarah might write round to try and capture some of these takeaways eventually, so that we can share some of our aspirations and ideas and see how we can synergize that and build on it. So first thing is, please take away something for yourself. Second thing is, I was struck by two images I'd like you to also go away with. We have that wonderful thing from Cameron about the real world, mining industry. We're all benefiting with all our devices. The picture of the woman and the baby chipping out the stuff, really. That's reality in human lives. And that's why we're here. Because our hearts don't want that woman and that baby taking in all that stuff, so we've got smartphones and can make videos and flash them around the world. It's urgent, my friends. And the other image, of course, is the one that Swami gave us, of the little boy who went through all that trauma, but somehow had the inspiration to say, I want to learn to be kind. I want to learn to be kind. It's kindness that's in every human heart, gives us the capacity to notice that woman and to want to do something about it. And unless kindness is connected with governments and with businesses and with research, academia, with media, with NGOs, unless kindness is the driving force and the connector, it all becomes political and bottom line unmeasurable. So I invite you to think about those two pictures as you go away, the woman with her child, the little boy who wanted to be kind. Two other things that I invite you to go away and think about. One is, I've been very struck by the emphasis on microfinance. It's a small scale thing. Some of us from GSN were privileged a few years ago to be invited by the President of Pakistan to go and do some workshops because they've got huge unemployment of graduates. And their whole economy doesn't benefit from all that higher education because what it needs is micro businesses in real time, in real places with energetic, able people. But they're becoming graduates who want to work for Microsoft. We've got to value the micro. And in all our own endeavours, put some energy and emphasis on the micro. Then the last thing is Piers' thing about education. We've all got a lot to learn, but we want people to know they're part of a story that's worth being part of, like your museum idea. And of course, we're privileged to be part of a world story that those in slavery are not part of properly. They're just fueling it, really, at cost of their lives. And we want all those people of determination, to be part of the story and to celebrate it and to be one with us. That's why we're doing this. That's why we've got this challenge. So, bless you for coming. That's just a few random thoughts about what you might go away and think and work about and wrestle with. Do think about the takeaways. And I'm going to ask Raza just to come and say a final thank you. And then I think there's plenty of stuff to still eat and drink and consume and stay in network with people and try and take things forward. And I hope we'll see quite a lot of you in June in London.
Thank you very much, Bishop Alistair. And I'm going to start with thanking Bishop Alistair, Sarah, and the rest of the team who have put this whole event together today. And I want to thank all of you for coming here. I really found it very productive. I learned quite a few new things. But I was also kicked a little bit today by one of our trustees. Even yesterday we had a very, very hard discussion before we came out to enjoy the evening with the welcome dinner, because myself, Bishop Alistair, and the rest of the team don't think it's our personal mission. We all take it as a serious issue, especially when we hear stories from Kailash Satyarthi, who's the Nobel Peace Prize winner of India, that when he freed the slaves, several of them were saying to them, "What took you so long?" So we really we take this matter with a sense of urgency. And if there's anything we can do better than what we are doing, we want to do. I have a very strange list in my phone which I've shared with a few friends. When I press NATO in my contacts, you see there's a very big list that comes out, NATO. There's a NATO alliance people really think is really famous. So there's a big list, yes, a lot of people in this list. For me, it's a code word for no action, talk only. Because a lot of people is just no action, talk only, right? This is not what GSN is. GSN is the platform, and if you're doing something, bring your subject to us. We will work with you to achieve whatever needs to be achieved in order to take it, find you collaborators, find you people. When you come around us, you will find people. But I think we've not been really communicating that very well with our members, that what is it that we achieve? We don't even take account of it, so it's our fault, and it was highlighted to me this afternoon during the lunch break, and immediately we took an action, and which I think we didn't even have a chance to discuss amongst ourselves, and we are going to end it with a short 3 to 4 minute video of just this afternoon from few of the members who have actually spoken to Zuhair about what impact has GSN made and what is it that they are willing to do. So I'm going to say thank you to you all. We're going to see you outside for a coffee, but meanwhile we'll end it with a GSN video that we have just gathered in the last couple of hours. Zuhair, please play it. Thank you, everybody.
We are here at the GSN event, and I meet my fellow gentlemen whose parents were from Scotland. And this is what GSN does, that you get introduced to quality people, and then the synergies can meet, and then you can take things forward for resolving various issues in the world, and especially serving for the goals.
As a member of GSN now for 3 or 4 years, I've noticed this magic happens. Bringing people together on doing good things, and then collaborating to do more. And so the collective gain is more. And that's the beauty of GSN.
Get inspired and
I can be friend. That moment, that's to be brother.
I work at the intersection of sustainability and technology. As a technology entrepreneur, now an investor. GSN has impacted my life in a lot of ways, mostly through the network. I've met some incredible people and engaged in different projects. I've engaged in a project around education, bringing technology-focused education to rural areas of the world and creating these communities of knowledge and communities of skills that are needed around the world. It can be incredibly impactful and scaled globally. I've also become just very close personal friends with many of the members and been involved in some of their personal businesses, as well as some of the other projects that they're working on. I'm pleased to be involved with Bishop Alistair and the Amar Foundation with his work around refugees and music and religion. GSN has been incredibly impactful to my life through the network that it's helped me create and expand. And
I'm Lisa Christine, a humanitarian photographer, and I had perhaps one of the largest bodies of work on modern day slavery in the world. I'm also a founding member of GSN, the Global Sustainability Network, that was really born at the signing of a document to eradicate slavery in the Vatican when Pope Francis drew together all these diverse religious leaders. It was a miraculous day. Our family, the Global Sustainability Network, is remarkable from all over the world, from various faiths and business and NGOs and artists such as myself. And we do all we can to bend on toward justice when it comes to Rule 8.7, which is the elimination of modern day slavery, human trafficking, and child labor.
My name is Pegah God. I'm a serial award-winning entrepreneur and best-selling author with the passion of inclusion. So it's a great pleasure to be among the all like-minded people for the greater purpose. It's my first time I'm attending the GSN, Global Sustainability Network, And it's fabulous to see people from all around the world. They're just gathered here for the greater purpose, for the human slavery, for the financial inclusion, and even more sustainability as well. So just give me so much pleasure to be able to connect with so many people. This is not about just a networking event, another networking event. What I find out is just you can find lots of people to collaborate with, and you know, for the greater purpose. Depends on what you have, what you've done, what is your expertise, and create a better future.